Brought to you in part by Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka.
Now, here are Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle.
Good morning and welcome into Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. April 5th. Edition of the program, Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle back after being off last week. Ryan Garvin behind the glass. We are full go with just less than 3 weeks to go until the NFL draft. 2 full weeks and then the half week. We only got 4 of these left, Cerrone. Starting to feel a bit like spring. We have a 70-degree day on the 10-day forecast here in Waltham. Saw that coming in this morning. It's not for, I think it was next Monday or Tuesday, so we got a minute. But it is starting to feel like spring. Draft season starting to ramp up. We've got, this is it. We're in the stretch run. Mike Reese had in his Sunday notes this morning. The Patriots will meet this week and finalize their draft board. And yes, teams have not finalized the draft boards yet. You go through the whole process. Senior Bowl, Shrine Bowl, Combine, 30 visits, pro days. You don't finalize that thing until you have all the information. 30 visits are wrapping up. Pro days have wrapped up. They might be wrapped up. I know there's usually 1 or 2 this week, but the whole schedule's been a little different this year. And then it's just gear down, get this thing lined up, and start drafting players.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that we're finally getting to the home stretch of the with the draft coming up. I mean, it's I don't know. I don't look at it as a beginning of next season. I look at it as an extension of the past season. It's kind of like, okay, we just saw what happened. What can they do to add to that or whatever? And I think it's kind of exciting to see this Patriots team from a different perspective going into the draft. Since me and you've been doing this, okay, they made it to the Super Bowl. What can they add here? What can they add there? How are they going to do this? Is it trades going to be made? All those things. But I think it's pretty exciting as opposed to the last few years. It was like, okay, they need everything, but how are they going to build it and build this team? So I think it's a different perspective, and I think it's kind of exciting to see going into the draft.
So we do have Indiana's Pro Day was the last Pro Day. That was on Wednesday. So we are final stretch here. Does it feel like draft season? Does it feel like spring for you?
Yeah, it's there. It's absolutely there now. I think now I know the playoffs are coming for the other sports, NHL and the NBA and all that. But once it usually gets to that, it's like, okay, this is the NFL thing. I mean, it's their time. You're seeing all the talks now with Mendoza with the Cousins deal. And it's starting to really, really heat up. And I think the only reason it really hasn't completely exploded because I think there's a lack of quarterbacks in the draft. If there was a lot of high-profile quarterbacks, I think the draft buzz would have been going now for a month. But I think it's starting to pick up. But as a Patriots fan, I think we're pretty, I would like to say excited. Everybody's curious of how they're going to handle this and how they're going to attack this draft.
It is funny you mentioned the other leagues wrapping up like that. Celtics-Bucks game the other night, I'm watching that because it's always, can we just start the draft already? And I'm also like, all right, start the draft, start the playoffs, let's go.
Yeah, it's time. You can see it.
We're ready. The Bruins, they got a little more of a push, but that Celtics team is ready to go, and we're getting ready for the draft here. This is our Rebuilding the Roster segment brought to you by Blue Sky Restoration Contractors. Water damage at your home or business? Our guys at Blue Sky are ready to respond 24/7. So go, our guys at Blue Sky ready to respond 24/7. So go visit BLUSky.com and they'll take care of everything from beginning to end. Blue Sky Restoration, restoring your property and your life for a brighter tomorrow. Spring weather here in New England can be unpredictable, but your restoration partner shouldn't be. Our guys at Blue Sky are always ready to respond 24/7 and can take care of everything from beginning to end. So visit GoBLUSky.com. We did get the second last bit, I should say. We're going to hear from the team. Mike Vrabel spoke this week on Tuesday at the owners' meetings. We heard from Elliott Wolf and Robert Kraft as well. We will hear from Elliott Wolf again next week. Week from tomorrow, that will be the official pre-draft press conference. But this is always kind of a big one because you hear there, in terms of building the team, like obviously Drake May, but he's off working out this time of year or throwing footballs to people at Charlotte Hornets games or whatever, shaving his head. It's Wolf, Kraft, Vrabel. Those are the 3 guys that are putting this team together. We heard from all 3 of them in the span of about 48 hours. There's a bunch of different stuff we can get to from all of it, But I think the big thing is Mike Vrabel. There was some talk Robert Kraft mentioned in his press conference, which was before Vrabel's, that they maybe overachieved last year. The schedule's going to be harder. So Vrabel gets asked about that on Monday, and he was very clear once again about the expectations for this season. Garvin.
Mike, Robert said yesterday he felt that you guys overachieved last year. Do you agree with that? And
I talked to Robert about that. Him and I had a really good conversation.
Yeah, he said it's going to be a tougher schedule, a tougher road, and playoffs remain the goal. What do you look at this season? Obviously,
championships will remain the goal. It will never change. I appreciate Robert's support, but we want to win the division. We want to host playoff games, and we want to compete for championships. And so we got a taste of that. We saw what that looked like. We saw the environment that it created to be able to play those playoff games at home, which was unbelievable and so much fun. I just watched the reactions. I watched the videos of because that's the part that I really didn't get to appreciate coaching a game, is seeing the fan videos, the videos from the fans and that perspective. So, we'll play whoever we have to play. We understand what this looks like. We're going to play the division winner schedule, and that's how it goes.
So not surprising, but if there was any question about complacency, maybe Vrabel gives you a pretty strong answer there. Mm-hmm. That the standard has not changed. So that was probably the biggest quote of the week. We'll get into some more specifics as well, but just hearing that, Cerrone, and I didn't think they were, but if there was any question about, are they going to kind of use this run as how's that going to impact their approach getting further than expected, it does not sound like that's going to be the case.
No, not at all. I mean, it's they got a taste of it. Like he mentioned that. We got a taste of that. You see how it is, see how fun it is. That should always be the goal. It should be an annual thing. And Vrabel, when he played in New England, it was always the goal. It was always be the best team, win the division, of course, get the playoff games at home. That's always the goal and always should be the goal going forward. Anything less than that, it's a disservice, I think, to your fan base and to everybody involved. And I understand Kraft's comments or whatever, but he saw what's like when the team is a 4-win team, when they're struggling to make the playoffs. It's not fun for anybody. It's not fun. I know their wallets take a hit. I know everybody takes a hit. And getting to the Super Bowl, it's great for your franchise, great for your players. It makes it easier to attract free agents, all the things. And I think that should always be the goal going forward. And yeah, the schedule might be a little tougher, but I think your team could be better as well. So I would say it offsets the schedule, but if you have a better roster, guys taking a lot of rookie players and young players that played for you last year, if they get better going into it, you have a better team to go with that tougher schedule. So you have to go out there with the mindset of winning no matter who's on that schedule.
Anything else? We'll hit on everything here over the first hour of the show. We're going to touch on some of the Vrabel stuff, the Elliott Wolf stuff, Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft didn't talk a lot. I think he only spoke for about 4 minutes, so we'll get into some of his stuff, but it's mostly Vrabel and Wolf. Then we'll do draft at 9 o'clock. Yeah. And it is a 3-hour edition of the show today. I think I forgot to say that. I want to get into some other team news at 10 o'clock, but was there anything in particular from Vrabel, from Wolf, from Kraft, outside of the big picture stuff that stood out to you?
I mean, we're probably going to get into it, but the Gonzalez stuff. Yeah, we want to get that done. He's a great player, whatever. I think fans, it's not about what they say, what they want to judge them by their actions. It's like, okay, well, get it done. And I think that's the biggest thing I think everybody was, I'm going to say, concerned about, that kind of stuck out to them was okay, if you really love this guy like that, go ahead and get this man paid. And then, of course, how does Drake May get paid after that? I think that's the story of, that's what people wanted to hear from them. And I think that's the biggest part outside of the A.J. Brown stuff and all that. But we'll get into that. But I think the Gonzalez conversation is the one that stands out the most, is how they're going to pay this man. Not how. When are they going to pay him? How much are they going to pay him? Is he going to be the highest paid? Are they going to let the other guys get paid first? All those things. I think the Gonzalez conversation is the one that the fans are interested in the most.
I'm with you, too. And I thought, in particular, Elliott Wolf had something he said that actually kind of surprised me a little bit. about Christian Gonzalez. He was on with Kay Adams and Mike Vrabel. Some pretty straightforward comments as well. You're right. I thought that was the most notable thing. I actually want to start with that, so we're going to take a quick break. You guys want to join us as well? Plenty of time for calls today, 617-779-0985. But on Christian Gonzalez, what can we expect? What's the latest we've heard about that looming extension? We'll get to that next year as we're off and running on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff is on the way on the Sport.
I missed when that happened. I don't know, maybe there was a formal announcement and I was off that day or something, but all of a sudden I started seeing I think it started a little bit last year. And I don't think I saw owners meeting once this year. But that's just a side.
I didn't even catch that, but go ahead.
Well, because, I mean, some people are still, I guess not everybody got the memo, because some people are still calling them the owners' meetings. I've corrected. About midway through the week, I corrected myself.
I'm still calling it the owners' meetings. This is news to me.
But that was Mike Vrabel on Christian Gonzalez, and, we should get that 5th-year extension done. He's a player we want to extend. And then he says, but I can't comment on the negotiations. Does that feel like maybe a message to those who can?
Absolutely. I mean, it's to me, it should be a no-brainer. I never believed in the idea that they wouldn't take care of him. I guess the track record. Let me back up a little bit. It'd be a scary situation if they don't. I mean, every day that goes by, you're like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? I think he's just so important to what they do. I think what he did in that playoff run got himself paid. I think he turned himself into a superstar. And in a losing effort in the Super Bowl, I think the whole world got to see what Gonzalez is really about. I think if they would have found a way to win that game, he probably would have been MVP. I think he's an outstanding player, and he got his chance on the biggest stage to prove it and get himself paid. Pay that man, make him one of the top pillars of your franchise, one of the key guys. The jersey sales are flying. He's a fan favorite. All the things, all the reasons to go ahead and take care of this young man and get him paid. And I know Vrabel being a defensive guy, he knows how important he is to that defense and that secondary. And it's hard to find guys that are that good off the field. All the things. You go ahead and take care of this guy and get him paid. That way you got that side of the field is locked away. You're good. You're not worried about him, and you move on. Don't play around with this guy at all. Please don't.
So in addition to everything you just mentioned, something that was interesting that I heard, when you give a player the kind of contract that we assume Christian Gonzalez is going to get, he's going to reset the market at cornerback. Mm-hmm. Whether it's before or after Devin Witherspoon, it's just a matter of how long he's the highest paid. He's going to reset the market. Obviously it's about what he does on the field, and he's earned it. But you want that player to be a flag bearer for your program, a face of the franchise, right? We saw that, not that it was right, we saw this kind of happen with Rafael Devers. Not to cross sports, but we're like, there were some, like, was he fully embracing that role and all of that? So, not that I think the Patriots would do what the Red Sox did with Rafael Devers, but when you get to the negotiations, like, this can be a sticking point. He's a good player, but what else is he doing for us? Something that, a program player, you want the guy to be a program player, leadership's a part of that. We never really heard a lot about Gonzalez as a leader, good or bad. It just never came up. He was a young player. He's a quiet guy. But that's something that, the team's probably going to look for here. If you're going to give him this contract, you want him to be somebody the rest of the room can look to. You want him to be somebody that, again, is going to be a flag bearer for your program. So I thought it was very interesting when Elliot Wolf was on Kay Adams on Monday and was asked about Gonzalez and said this, Ryan.
Big story here is Christian Gonzalez, your amazing shutdown corner. He was spotted at a Celtics game fashioning a pay me gesture on the Jumbotron. Your response?
I didn't see the gesture. Do we have a clip of that?
I think we might. Do we? I'm not sure, actually.
Yeah, Christian's a tremendous player, and it's no secret that we'd like to try to get something done with him.
There's your quote.
Yep.
It's no secret we'd like to keep Christian Gonzalez. Can I ask you why and how close you guys might be to that? Why is it important to you to try to keep him?
He's a great talent. He's one of the best players at his position in the NFL. He's developing as a leader, and he's a quiet person, so that's going to look different than maybe the way someone else leads, but he's really just scratching the surface. He's already up there as an elite talent, and we think he can improve even more.
So it's that last part that interested me, because this is something when you go into that negotiation can be like, are you going to rise to that level of leader? But you had Mike Vrabel say at the Super Bowl Gonzalez wanted to be a captain at some point. But then you have Wolf say that, and Vrabel, like we played off the top, kind of touching on it too. I think that's encouraging, because that's leverage for them that they're just kind of throwing out there saying that. So, and you do kind of need him to be a leader.
Yeah.
Carlton Davis in the last year guaranteed money on his contract. They really don't have a lot of solid depth at that position. That room's going to turn over in the next 2 to 3 years. It's going to be Gonzalez, Marcus Jones, and everybody else. And you can absolutely be a quiet lead by example guy. I don't think you want your entire leadership to be that, but I don't think you want your entire leadership to be like rah guys either. I think you want a balance. And they have like Milton Williams, I think, is a very vocal leader on that defense. Robert Spillane, Marcus Jones, who's in that room. But I remember covering Stephon Gilmore, and that guy was quiet. And congratulations to him on his retirement, by the way. Gilmore, we're going to talk about him a little later in the show. But it was a younger group around him, and those guys definitely gravitated towards him. And he was a lead by example, and he's that kind of guy where he didn't really talk a lot, but when he talked, everybody shut up and listened. Like that kind of, okay, Steph's talking. Like, we got, wow, that sort of thing. So I thought it was pretty telling. I know some people are probably like, who cares about the leadership? He can play, pay him. Like, yes, I get that. But when you're talking about this kind of contract, it does run a little deeper. So I thought it was really encouraging to hear Wolf and Vrabel say those things about Gonzalez as a program player.
Yeah, I think a part of it was he mentioned it, how young he is. Young he was when they got him, and he was kind of the young guy there. He had the injuries early on or whatever. And the young guy is normally not the vocal leader when you're in a room full of, veteran alphas. Right. As I would say. But as he's getting older, as the responsibility's picking up, he's going to get more vocal. I think it's natural that he's going to be, and not vocal in a way, like you said, not the NFL films, rah, and all that stuff, but in the meetings, on the field, hey, calling things out. Hey, look for this, look for that. Watch this. Hey, be a leader in that type of way. Guys working out in the offseason, lead by example that way. I think he's going to grow into that. The more, the more games he plays, the more he becomes a veteran player. And I think, like you said, naturally, once that contract hits and all that stuff, guys are going to look to him. They're going to look at him. He's got that C on his chest. They're going to look at him. And they start drafting younger guys around him that come in at 2-3 years younger than him. They're going to naturally look up to him, just like you would at a college program. A freshman's going to look at a senior. They're on the same team. They're both young, but they're going to naturally look up to a guy. And I think he's going to become that kind of player. I don't know how loud he's going to get, but I think he's going to be a leader they look to. And if they see he has those qualities, good qualities in leadership, that's only going to help him, long term get paid and help him become one of the big the faces of this franchise.
So where are you at with the extension? Is it because Robert Kraft mentioned that they generally like to get things done quicker because it's, I think, financially satisfactory was the term he used, and he's not wrong. We've seen the Cowboys botch this how many times for how many players the past few years. Every time these guys get paid, they reset the market. So you're going to make him the highest paid player at the position. Like, that's just what it's going to take to re-sign him. Do you want to do that now? Or do you want to do that after Devin Witherspoon gets his contract? I'm trying to remember who was the next year, but like if you go into next season and say, okay, we're not going to do it until the fourth season. Now you're talking about, I don't know why this thing is sorted by defensive backs. That's annoying. The next year you're talking about Quinion Mitchell's going to get paid. And he's probably going to, if he has another good year, he's probably going to go to the top of the list. So
I'm sorry.
The thing for me is like I'd love to see him get it done before camp. That's kind of the deadline for me, and because once you get to camp, then it becomes a thing of does he hold in? Is he
all that
more hesitant to get on the field and things like that? So it'd be great if they signed him tomorrow and just had that done and that box checked, and it's one less thing. Like that'd be awesome. For me, it's like the end of July though, and take some time, hammer it out, whatever. Where are you at? And I don't know if they'll get it done in that time. It might run into camp. Where are you at? How confident are you that something's going to get done sooner rather than later?
I believe sooner than later, but I agree with you with getting it done by camp. And because if not, every day, you're going to be there every day for training camp. Every day it's going to be a conversation. It's going to be a question. When is it going to happen? Is it happening? And I think it's just going to linger and go on. And if he sits out of practice, if he's just off to the side in practice, it's going to be, what is he doing? Why is he holding? Like you said, it's just the conversation just gets worse and worse. For that reason alone, it's like just pay him and get it out the way, get it over with, get the conversation moved, and away from that, focus on the rest of the team. And just so, for the sake of guys like you who are there covering everything, just get it out the way, get the deal hammered out, get it done. And if he resets the market and Witherspoon tops him, okay, so be it. I mean, he deserves his. If it's $1 more, oh well, you've already taken care of your guy. But I think also if you wait and somebody throws stupid money at somebody else, now you have to match that or go above that. I think that could be a problem as well. So just go ahead and get it taken care of as soon as possible and move on and cover the rest of this team. I don't want to hear that conversation going on until week 1 or something crazy. You're talking about it going into next season. I think that'd be a waste of time for everybody.
Yeah, it's not apples to apples because he's a much younger player. Situation is different. The team's better, frankly. But remember how much that Matthew Judon thing took over?
Oh, yeah.
Training camp that year. And again, it's not a perfect comparison because there was absolutely an argument for not paying Matthew Judon. He was over 30 and that team wasn't great and, get back. They weren't tanking, but that extra third-round pick, I think, helped them get Jared Wilson and the extra 4th in this draft. They traded one of their thirds last year to move back. I don't remember which one it was, but yeah, you want it done. That's the kind of thing you just want out of sight, out of mind by the time you get going. So,
but real quick, you said he's not the caliber player of what Gonzalez is now, but a guy who was a step down, a tier down, still took over camp. The conversation was still that dominant. So imagine with the all-pro caliber guy like this in the same situation. I think it'd be a zoo the whole time.
All right, I want to get into another player on the defense that they talked about, Vrabel talked about, that we really haven't heard a lot about. Sneaky important player for the team if he's good to go. But I also think his status is really important for how the Patriots handle the draft, and how they view his status is really important for projecting how the Patriots will handle the draft. That is Harold Landry. I want to talk about him next year, plus your call, 617-779-0985 here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub.
Sunday kickoff. We'll get to the maybe adding to the edge thing in a little bit. We're going to do a whole hour on the draft coming up at 9 o'clock. It is a 3-hour edition of the program today if you missed that, so plenty of time to get to it. But Harold Landry, Vrabel kind of said it there, was good early in the year, hurt his knee, was not the same player. And then there became this question of what happens with him. His contract really made it so he would be here. They weren't going to be able to move on. He's entering his age 30 season. He's coming off this knee surgery. He has kind of had some injury things here pop up the last few years, missed all of 2022 with an ACL. And the Patriots, it already felt like they needed to add an edge as the group was constituted. They did not get enough from that pass rush once Landry got hurt. They replaced Chason with Draymond Jones. That's really it for now. They signed Jesse Luketa, who will compete for like a back-end roster spot. It does feel like they need Harold Landry. Even if they draft a guy, it still feels like they need Harold Landry to play a role. Mm-hmm. And based on Vrabel's answer there, it was tough to get a read. I don't know. Maybe you feel differently. It was tough to get a read on where they're at on Harold Landry. And I get it. He's still rehabbing. But do you think they have, bigger role playing for him? Do you think to me, it's anything you get from him is bonus.
Yeah.
I would not be planning on getting a ton from him. I'm just interested if they feel the same way.
Yeah, I don't think they're banking on him being their top guy right now. But I do think they want him around. I do think he likes the player. I think he likes the person. He likes his leadership. He's very familiar with him, and that's, again, we talked about guys with character, off field, all those things. I think they love all the things about Landry. And I think they're waiting to gauge to see how he handles, rehabbing and getting his knee back together. Can he be close to what he was before the injury? But either way, I can still see them continuing to add to that defensive line. I think they just want to if you keep him around as just a leader in that room, that's a bonus. A depth position. Hey, I can't give you X amount of snaps every game, but I could be a situational edge rusher and come in and then give you my best on third and long or whatever it may be in obvious pass situations. I think there's a role for him. But I think they're looking for an every down guy. I think they're looking for a starter. They're looking for a younger version of Landry, just a guy that can get out there and get after it. And look, they all know that when a guy starts to get older and the knees start to go, he's not going to give you the same thing. But if he can give it to you in spurts, you keep him around. And I think he's just a good guy to have around that locker room. I think everybody respects him in there. But I do think, regardless of how he comes back from this knee injury, I can see them adding depth to that defense, not just early in the draft, but I can see them possibly doubling up just to add more bodies to that defensive line.
It's definitely a spot where double up makes sense. And then there's the question of, I know you put in our little back and forth before the show, you're wondering about maybe how much they're counting on or the growth from some of the year 2 guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a crucial thing here too. Elijah Ponder, liked what I saw from him last year.
Yeah.
But he only played 200 snaps, and it's a little more of a projection with him. And then Braden Swinson obviously basically didn't play, but he was a guy they used to draft pick on. Do you think maybe we see some growth from those guys? Swinson in particular, Ponder was solid for what he was, which was a kind of lesser rotational player, lesser in terms of the role. Do you think they try to? Because the thing about doubling up, I think they should double up, but there's also part of me that's like, okay, so you're going to take some toolsy, unproven edge rusher, middle of day 3.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Braden Swinson was. So are you just quitting on Braden Swinson? Is there space for both of them? I'm not sure of that if they draft a guy high. Braden Swinson's another one that's kind of a wild card that I wonder what they think of him.
Yeah, I think that's I think defensive line is the most difficult. Well, all the difficult decisions are going to come throughout camp, and it's going to be a real battle and one to watch. I think they still double up, man. I think you have to take an extra swing. And look, whoever they get early, I expect them to play a lot. If you use a first round pick on the edge guy, that guy should be out there playing.
Yes.
It's no doubt about it.
I would even say top 63, I guess, technically. And I think because of this draft, you can get a guy with the second pick, and maybe it's after trade up. You can get a guy with your second pick, the Patriots' second pick, that can make an impact as a rookie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you got to put them, and because of the construction of this team, they're lacking depth at defensive end. So it's not like you're drafting a guy in the first 2 rounds and there's no room for him, nowhere for him to go. Oh, you got space for him. There's going to be snaps for him, so he's got to be out there playing. But I think the back end of that, those guys, that's going to be the battle in camp. If they pick up a second guy in the draft, if Swenson's out there, hey, have at it. This is on you guys. I know there's not going to be enough reps to go around, but you got to make the best of it. And I think it's going to be a final decision. It's going to come down to final cuts of which one of these guys is going to be on this team and who's not. But I think that's a position I think you have to not stockpile, but you got to get as many guys in there as you can and sort out the best, because that's, to me, that's your, I would say, I think it is the biggest weakness on this defense. I think you have to nail that defensive end spot down and create depth there. And I think Landry, back to the Landry conversation, I think he falls in that. If he gets outplayed by the younger guys, it's going to be a tough decision on him. He could be one of those late guys that you can see cut in August, but it's going to be a real battle for those positions.
I don't think he's going to get cut. It'll be interesting to see, because he's Vrabel's guy. So he was Vrabel's second ever draft pick. In 2018, the Titans take Rashaan Evans in the first round. Then they take Harold Landry. He was a captain there. Vrabel brings him here. He makes him a captain here. Like, clearly one of Vrabel's guys. And his contract's also just, I forget what the penalty is. It's a lot. It's a mess. He's going to be here. I want to find the post-June 1 number for you. Yeah, it's $15 million. It's $15 million in dead money. He has 11 guaranteed this year. There is no more guaranteed money in 27. So it's a more realistic conversation, I think, after this season. Mm-hmm. Unless they can try to find a trade partner for him somehow. It's only $4 million if it's traded. But, if this guy, you're about to cut him, I think that signals to teams where you are. What's good? So he's Vrabel's guy. I think he's going to be here.
Yeah.
And you know what? If he's healthy, he should be. Because if he's healthy, he's a player they need. To your point, it's their weakest position on defense, and he gives them what they need. They need that pass rush juice. But if he gets outplayed by a draft pick and Draymond Jones, and maybe Elijah Ponder takes a jump, right, and his knee's just not right, will Vrabel, I don't think he'll outright bench him, but move him to a more rotational role. Hey, you're only going to play like 15, 20 snaps a game. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's what's best for him. Maybe that's all his knee can handle. But it'll be really interesting because again, he was a captain last year. Yeah. It'll be really interesting to see if Vrabel makes that adjustment, if it comes to that.
Yeah, I think that's what you just said. I completely agree with that. He bumped to a role to where it's like he's a situational guy. Okay, we need the specialist now. Bring in Landry here. We know we got a lead here in the fourth quarter. They're dropping back a ton. Okay, now's your time. Go out there where you can just tee off and not put him in situations like, say, you're playing somebody like the Ravens. They're running the ball 35 times constantly in his direction. He's constantly in the pile, taking the beatings, getting worn out. I don't think that's a situation you want him in, but you get situations where I think this team will be ahead a lot, where it's obvious passing downs, late in games, whatever. Okay, bring in Landry, get after it, make us a play so we can get up out of here. I think I think that's going to be more of a role for him. I think regardless of who they pick up, I think that might be a better role for Landry going forward.
All right, you want to join us on anything that we heard out of the league meetings this week? Plus, of course, we can start getting into draft stuff here. 617-779-0985. We got a couple open lines. To your calls right after this on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the Sports Hub.
The first signs of spring.
Patty in Agawam. Patty.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning.
I'm not going to torture you guys with my draft crushes today. I just wanted to bring up two players, and the first one, you already talked about, Christian Gonzalez. One thing I never got regarding his extension was a lot of these fans, like the discourse about what about trading him for draft picks, like what message does that send to the rest of your team? If you have an elite, like one of the elite players at his position in the league, and you decide to trade him, what happens if you draft like an edge who comes in and plays his ass off and looks like one of the best players at his position? What does that put in his head after 2 or 3 years? Like, well, they got rid of Gonzalez. Are they going to get rid of me? What does that do to your quarterback, too? And the other one I wanted to bring up, of course, is the other blue chip player on our team, Drake May. We know that somebody asked Mike Vrabel what he wanted to see Drake May improve on, and he said pre-snap he would like to see him have a little bit better control before, pre-snap at the line of scrimmage. And that got me thinking, like, one thing I would like to see Drake May improve on is his hard count, because we all know, like, he loved Aaron Rodgers growing up, and one thing Aaron Rodgers was always great at was a hard count. I wanted to ask you guys what one thing that you would like to see him improve on, and regarding May too, I see like a lot of early predictions of the Bills winning the division, and I don't get it. Like, what happens if Drake May? We all saw what he did last year, taking a huge leap in year 2. What happens if he takes another big leap in year 3 in the second year of Josh McDaniels' offense? And that's all I got, guys. I'll take it off there. You guys rock. Happy Easter. Happy Passover. Let's go, baby.
Thanks, Patty. Happy holidays to you, too. So on the Gonzalez thing, exactly right. Like, you don't want to be in a situation where you have to trade him. If the negotiations don't work, you can't let him walk. You have to trade him if you can't re-sign him. Mm-hmm. But it shouldn't come to that. I don't think that those are the same level. On the Drake May stuff, the hard count, ironically, was a really big thing with Alex Van Pelt. Van Pelt was the one who worked with Aaron Rodgers on that. So he got teams a couple times last year. The thing I probably would want to see him work the most on is the pre-snap stuff, like Vrabel said. And that's, remember when they were hiring an offense coordinator, it was, well, Josh McDaniels' offense is too complicated and you can't put Drake May in it this quickly. And they didn't throw the entire 2018 Tom Brady playbook at him, because that thing took 20 years to build. You're not going to install that all in a year, but they probably can start ramping him up and giving him some more control at the line, letting him make more checks. I mean, that's part of what made that offense so lethal as the years went on. Brady had more and more autonomy and more options, the answers to the test, right? So, realistically, I don't know how much more you can ask from Drake May physically.
Oh, yeah, no, not physically.
Like, he's doing everything he needs to do. He cut down on the turnovers last year. That's a big one. To me, it's the mental side. And there were some times last year where it felt like they had bad plays at the line for the look the defense gave them. And that's not saying like they were purposely calling bad plays. It's the defense made a good play call and they maybe didn't have a counter in that situation. And that is what it is with a young quarterback. That's going to happen sometimes. Giving Drake May more autonomy at the line of scrimmage and giving him more options at the line of scrimmage to avoid those situations, that's something Tom Brady was excellent at. That does feel like the logical next step in his development, to me anyway.
Yeah, I think for me it'd be, well, I know he wasn't bad at this, but you've seen how dominant quarterbacks can be when they're spreading the ball around, taking what they give you, couples just snapping the ball, getting rid of it quickly, dumping it off to the running backs out of the backfield, just taking what they give you, spreading it out. A lot of times you've seen him when he scrambles, every time he scrambles, he's rolling right. And he's got the 3 levels. He's got this back in front of him. There's somebody mid, tight end, whatever. And then there was a guy deep on the right side. And it kind of, I wouldn't say it got predictable, but I want to see him kind of linger around the pocket a little more, but get rid of the ball quicker. Take the short stuff, the 3-yard gains, the 4-yard gains. I know he was masterful down the field, but I think what made not just Tom Brady, but the Peyton Mannings and all the other guys, the Drew Brees, they just pepper you up and down the field all over the place to where you can't predict what they're going to do. And a lot of that comes from what you're saying, pre-snap reads, seeing what they're giving you, jumping out of something. I know this is not going to work here. Let's just jump into something else here and take what they give you. But I think that comes with experience. He's a young guy. He's really, really young. He's really coming into it. And I think his playoff run through those defenses is the last thing he's going to remember is facing Houston and Denver and Seattle's defenses. And I understand now that I know he understands now that it's all about the pre-snap read. It's all about recognizing what's going on, taking your time, and using everything to your advantage when you get in certain situations. So I think that's going to come with time. But like you said, physically, he doesn't have to do anything else physically. He's already got the tools. And to real quick to his last point, I don't understand the thing with the Bills either. I think they've taken a step back. But everybody says, Josh Allen, they're going to be great. It's like, they just fired their coach. How do you know how they're going to respond to this upcoming season? But, yeah, I think Drake May is going to be fine. But I think the biggest thing for him to pick up is just experience, just getting more experience and recognizing what he sees on the field.
Let's go to Randy in Providence with some draft thoughts. Randy.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning.
How you doing?
Good.
I wanted to quick comment on your mock draft from this week because you did the one with Brian there, and I thought Crawford was a reach at 63, like a real reach, because he's 99 on the consensus overall board.
So, quick question, Randy. Did you watch the stream where we did the draft?
Yeah, and I mean, you were debating Jayshon Barham, and I thought he would have been a reach at that spot too, although I like Barham better.
Okay.
But I mean, I just thought at that spot, you're maybe going in a different position entirely if you're debating 2 third-round edges. And I know that 63 is still, it's almost an early third-round pick, but still. But I comment on just what you guys were saying earlier. I think the edge room development is going to be a lot more key than people think. Like Mike Smith was raving about Elijah Ponder last summer. And then he went and, he kind of had a role this year. I think he grows into more of a role. I had a question for you on the top 30 visits, though.
Yeah.
Are you getting any reporting out of the team on, because a lot of guys you bring in for top 30 visits, it's about answering questions, right? Guys like Romello Height, why were you at 4 schools in 6 years? Casey Concepcion had some friction at NC State. Zion Young's had a few incidents. So, these are guys you bring in to answer questions. Are you guys getting any reporting out of there as to, how those questions are being answered, if they're being answered in a satisfactory fashion? If the team's happy with what they're hearing from these sorts of guys, that sort of thing. And then just one last comment, because you were mixing it up on the mock draft this week, trying to do new things, right?
Yeah.
And kind of get out of the box a little. And I have messaged you this on X, by the way, but if I think you don't see those messages, but there's a site called draftprofessor.com. Check that out. There's a fanatic mode on it, which is an interesting twist on a single team draft. So you could do 3 drafts, and the guys you take in the first draft will not be on the board for you in the second and the third draft. So it forces you to kind of reach deep in your bag of prospects, So just play around. I think you'll be super interested. Just watching you mock draft and hearing you talk about the draft and stuff, I just think it'd be a tool, that you would be very interested in playing around with on your own time, even if not on a show or whatever. So I thought I would just make that suggestion.
All right, cool. Thanks, Randy. Appreciate it. Yep. So he mentioned a mock draft I did. We do on the Patriots Beat podcast on CLNS. Me and Brian Hines do a live one where we put the simulator on and we go through it, and we talk through it live on the show. And to change it up, the bit we did this week, we had a couple other reporters, because there's a multiplayer feature now, draft as other teams to try to throw us off. And they took all the edge rushers in the first and second rounds. We got a tackle in the first, and we get to pick 63, and he mentions Kieran Crawford, who, is a fringe top 100. He's going to be a top 100 pick. He's a third-round pick. But it was him or Romello Height or Jayshon Barham, and that was it. And we were sitting there we'd have to reach on one of these guys. But if we wait until 95, and so I think it was really reflective how the draft might go. And it's important to remember, if there's a run on a position, it changes things.
Yeah.
And now you either have to get uncomfortable or you have to you just miss it. And this is, as much as we've typed up this edge class, I don't really love the day 3 group. I think once you get outside of the top 100, there's a couple guys, but you're definitely not getting somebody, you're getting somebody who's going to compete with Ponder for that rotational role. You're not getting one of the top of the depth chart guys. I like Kieran Crawford. I happen to think he's a little underrated. But, yeah, so it was thanks to Taylor Kyles, Evan Lazard, Mike Hadley, thanks to those guys for helping out. But it was an interesting exercise in that if you take a tackle at the top, we've been talking about, well, there'll still be plenty of good edge rushers later on, unless there's a run. You never know. Or maybe there's a run on tackles. It can go the other way, too. To his question about top 30 visits, teams keep that stuff very, very close to the vest because that's the draft strategy. That's the draft plan. How those meetings go dictate in some ways, and, he brings up a good point. Those meetings at this point, you're not really – sometimes people say, oh, he was in for like a workout. Terms kind of used just in general. It's not accurate.
It's an interview.
Right. It's an interview, and you can do medical checks, too. So top 30 visits are guys that might have some off-the-field questions, some personality questions, like Randy alluded to. Also, medical checks, like I wouldn't be surprised if teams are having like Jordan Tyson in. He's a guy that there's been some medical questions about. Chris Bell, the wide receiver from Louisville, we've talked about coming off a torn ACL would be another one. Yeah. So, that stuff's held very close to the vest. Maybe after the draft it comes out, hey, we were really impressed by this guy, or you hear, oh, this team wasn't so impressed by this player or whatever. But that's those meetings are in large part what's going to set the board. So they are very, very, very quiet about that kind of information.
Yeah, I mean, and for good reason. I mean, but the question I was going to ask for you, we could probably get it over the break. Do you anticipate a huge run, not just on the defensive ends, edge rushers, whatever? Do you see a certain position where all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's just a heavy run on these guys? You're sitting like, oh God, what are we going to do? Like what? Some years you can predict it, but do you foresee forecast one of these positions flying off the board like that, like you guys did in your simulator?
So tackle, because it always just kind of happens to tackle. Tackles usually go like 20, 30 picks ahead of where they're projected, especially once you get around the top 100. Corner and safety both, because there's really not a lot of depth at those positions. The top 100 is good. After you get out of the top 100, though, it falls off kind of quickly. Running back would be the other, because it's just not a great running back class.
Yeah.
So if players start going, and that might be later in the draft, but our team's like, wow, we only have, some teams might only have 7 or 8 draftable running backs in this class.
Wow.
So, if you're sitting there in the third round, 4 running backs have gone, maybe you have a guy with like a 4th round grade.
You have to take it.
Right, we might not get a draftable guy, something that is not a good running back class.
Yeah.
So you might see that. Edge, so it's funny, it happened in our thing, and I think that's because we told the people we were with, hey, like, make this hard on us, right? Give us tough decisions, that was the point of the exercise. But I think the opposite might happen, because this is, you have so many good players in the 50 to call it 110, 120 range. Teams may wait because they may say, if we don't get one of the top guys, we can get somebody later. But the big one's tackle. There's always a run of tackle. It's how the Patriots ended up with Caden Wallace in the 3rd round a couple years ago. He was still like the 8th, 9th, 10th tackle off the board, whatever it was, which is what he was expected to be. But all the tackles started going so high. Because it was see a tackle, take a tackle. If you needed one, you had to get one, because they were all going. They weren't going to last till your next pick, whenever that was. I could absolutely see something like that happening again.
Okay. I was just wondering, because the defensive ends, I agree with you. I can see a lot of teams saying, we'll just wait. But I can also see somebody out there just starting to double up, or something crazy happening to where they just start flying off, and then you're sitting there like, oh man, we didn't take one in the 1st round, and now we're at the bottom of the edge class, in the 2nd round of this draft rather quickly. So it's fun, but I think it's interesting to see how that'll play out.
No, there's a real chance if they're on the board at 63 and they didn't take a tackle at the top, we might be like, uh-oh, did they miss their chance? That could. Now, there's also the argument, if you get a really good tackle, so be it. But it's a deep class, but you're right. They might it's an important position. Teams might just grab them up. That can absolutely happen. I want to talk more about the draft, more about what the Patriots might do at pick 31 and how the exactly what we're talking about here, the depth of some of these other positions can impact it. We also got open phone line 617-779-0985. Quick check of the headlines. We're right back. 90 seconds, no commercials on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
From the Town Fair Tire Studio, the game is on the Sports Hub.
Goes to the backhand and scores!
If the Patriots top pick needs to make an immediate impact, he said best player available. So we've talked a lot about this, Cerrone. I think it's the big question for the Patriots going into the draft, at least at 31. Would they take a player who maybe projects a year out, a tackle, for instance, to develop behind Morgan Moses and take over on the right side? It's fair to say yes based off that answer? Feels like it.
Yeah. I think this team is in a position now. They're a good team. They're a good football team. Yeah, we all want the defensive end. I want the defensive end. I'd be disappointed if they walked out of here without one in the first 2 rounds. If they still have the second round pick, we'll find out come June. But but you know what I'm saying, next year's. But I think this team could use everything. I don't think their best player available. If they took KC Concepcion, I'd be happy. If they took the tight end on the board, if he's still there, I'd be happy. You know, if they took a tackle, the best tackle available at that point, I wouldn't be disappointed. If they took, TJ Parker or Cassius Howell, one of those guys, I'd be fine. I don't think there's a position. I'd be upset with they took in the first round. I think this team is good, but they could use a body everywhere. And a starter. Now, if you get a receiver, this kid's got to be, a game breaker, I think, to get to be the man on this team. But I wouldn't be upset if they took the best receiver available, the best tight end available, or any of these other positions, the best tackle. I know you got Will Campbell and Moses on the other side, but I would not be upset. So I think this team is in a good spot to where they can take the best player available, and they're not overly desperate that they have to have this particular position or else. And I think that's a decent position to be in for a roster. And compared to the last couple of years, you knew they needed a left tackle. You knew they needed Drake May a couple of years ago. So, I mean, it's I think they're in a position where they can take the best player available and be okay with that.
So give me your 3 most likely positions for them at 31 in order.
In order, most likely defensive end, number 1.
Agree.
Number 2 for me, actually, I think would be receiver before tackle.
Interesting.
And then 3 would be tackle.
So is that what you think they want, or does that factor in the players on the board?
I think more what they want. I think they've said it a few times. I think they're okay with Will Campbell. I think they're cool with Moses. And I think they can get it. They feel they can get a tackle after the first round. But at 31, if you take a tackle at 31, are you putting pressure on Morgan Moses, or are you going to let this guy sit? It's a weird spot,
I don't know. I think part of what makes this work, Morgan Moses, and we saw this time and time again last year, is just he's a professional, right? Yeah. He gets it. I don't know. I'd like to think 35 years old, he'd understand.
He'd get it, yeah. It's not going to bother him, yeah.
Right. Now, if they took Caleb Lomu, who's only a left tackle, now maybe you're putting more pressure on Will Campbell than you want to. That's certainly fair. I'd like to think that Morgan Moses would kind of understand the deal there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think they'd probably rather receiver than tackle. I really like Casey Concepcion. I really do.
Yeah, he's a good player.
I don't know that he's the closest to me to that level of guy that they need at wide receiver. They don't need another complimentary guy between Booty, Dobbs, obviously, who they just signed, Mac Hollins, Pop Douglas. They're still developing Kyle Williams, and we'll get to more of this in a second.
Yeah.
They have complimentary guys. They need a guy at the top of the depth chart. The wild card to me is if Jordan Tyson falls, and all of the kind of insider reporting is teams are worried about his health, the fact he wasn't able to do workouts this offseason. Now, I don't know that Mike Vrabel is going to draft a guy that can't get on the field for workouts because of a hamstring injury. That kind of runs counter to what we believe his philosophy is, but he does have that upside of being that number 1 guy. I want to do a whole segment on receivers, but real quick before we hit the break, where do you stand on Jordan Tyson? If he falls, would you be interested?
That's very intriguing, man. Because if he comes out of this thing and he's healthy, you pair him up with Drake May, you got something for a long time. Yeah. He's a spectacular player. He's a playmaker, and he had Twitter rolling most of the season. Everybody was like, this dude's unbelievable. And if that guy falls to Drake May, you might have to take a chance, man.
Do you think they would?
If he's there, I'd take a chance.
Do you think they would?
No, I don't think they would. And it'll hurt my soul. I mean, I could see one of the other teams that are good, like the Bills or somebody else, kind of.
Yeah, I worry about the Bills getting him. I do.
Yeah, teams like that jumping up and snagging him. And teams that are really desperate, the Ravens, some of these other teams that they got to win it today. I can see one of those teams saying, "I don't care if this kid, did whatever. I'm taking him. I'm going to put him on the field, my All-Pro quarterback." But if he's there, I would take him. But that's why I'm not an NFL GM. I probably get fired. But I don't think the Patriots will.
All right, I want to get into a little more on the receivers, and we got to do our weekly check-in on the A.J. Brown situation. We'll do that next here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff is on the way on the Sports Hub.
A.J. Brown. Now, there's two things that aren't clear there.
How many text messages?
Well, that's a good one. I wasn't even thinking that, but that's a good one. Does we mean the Patriots internally, or does it mean the Patriots and the Eagles? Mm-hmm. Like, we haven't talked to the Eagles in a while, or simply like we're not even talking about it in the room anymore? And two, have they not had those conversations for a long time because they've moved on? Or have they not had those conversations for a long time because they know the Eagles aren't moving him until June 1st, so what is there to talk about?
Yeah, exactly.
That sort of thing. Yeah. Now, the Eagles writers, and I don't want to speak for all of them, but like the reporting out of Philly, the consensus seems to be that he's gone. Not directly that he's being traded to New England, but that he won't be an Eagle. And there's a few other teams that have loosely been put in the mix, the Bills, the Rams. And then you had The Athletic put something out after the league meetings that said, I want to find the exact quote here, but basically a league source, I'm not sure if it was exactly a GM, said that he expects the Patriots to land A.J. Brown after June 1st. Our weekly check-in, where are you at with A.J. Brown?
Yeah, at this point, I think we just wait and see. I think we all just have to wait and be patient. It seems like, man, nationally, like this thing is all but done. It's. I think it'd be at the point now if he does get traded out, which I think he's definitely out of Philly.
Yeah.
If he does get traded away and it's not New England, I don't know how he handles that. I think he'd be upset.
So this is what the Athletics.
That's the problem.
This is what the Athletics' Mike Sando said. Quote: execs expect the Patriots to acquire wide receiver A.J. Brown from Philadelphia in June, once the salary cap implications become more tenable for the Eagles. Now, we also had a report earlier this year that said a league executive, now this wasn't plural, but a league executive expected the Patriots to sign Rasheed Walker to move Will Campbell to right tackle. So you take these with a grain of salt. Mm-hmm. Does that executive, however it is, benefit from that story being out there? But does use the plural. The Athletic generally does good work. So it's just more buzz. It's just more buzz.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be another team willing to jump in and say, let me get him and steal him from the Patriots, because I don't know how he'd respond in my locker room if he doesn't want to be here from day one. I know he's going to say all the right things in the press conference, but if he doesn't want to be here and his heart was really in New England the whole time, and then you came in and scooped him up, I mean, it might work out, but then you're going to look really bad to your fan base and everybody else if you gave up huge draft capital for a guy that doesn't want to be on your team, and now you're in the same situation as Philadelphia. So, I mean, it's a lot going on. I think the stories coming out with Jalen Hurts and all that stuff in their locker room, I don't think none of this helps. So I think he's going to be gone. But if you're the Patriots, you just have to sit back and wait. And if you know he's going to be on your team, do you even draft a receiver? Like, how do you handle the draft if you already know you're going to get A.J. Brown, added to this roster? So I think it's a pretty intriguing thing for the Patriots.
So Mike Vrabel was asked about the wide receiver room as it currently exists earlier this week. Here's what he had to say.
Do you like where your wide receiver room is right now with Dobbs and Booty and Kyle Williams?
There's guys that certainly we targeted Romeo, with the consistency that he's had and shown, and his first 4 years in the NFL. And I think he's gotten better. I think he's improved each and every year. Certainly, you mentioned Kayshawn. I think Pop is a player that's going to really continue to grow and develop, and we have to find ways to get him the ball. Kyle, really excited. Talked about him just improving his play strength, and that's something that he's tried to focus on here in the offseason. We know what his speed is and his release skills, and the ability to we saw him go and track the ball down the field. So there's a lot of guys that we're excited about.
So he mentions the interior growth from Pop Douglas. He mentions the interior growth from Kyle Williams, which, I mean, they took Kyle Williams top 100 last year. I don't think they're going to be done with him. Pop, we'll see. He's in a contract year. Kind of blew by mentioning Kayshawn Booty. I don't know if you read anything into that. I think it's significant in that he mentions growth from Pop Douglas. Like, growth from Kyle Williams makes sense. He's a young guy, second year in the league. Mm-hmm. Pop Douglas and Kayshawn Booty are the same draft. So is that I've kind of talked about, well, do they send a player back to Philly in an A.J. Brown trade? Kayshon Boutte would make the most sense if they were to do that, but I'm with you. If they get A.J. Brown, if they have an idea they're getting A.J. Brown, I don't need them taking a receiver high.
Yeah.
What's the role for that guy? Where's that guy playing? So you don't want to take a guy high because he doesn't, unless you have a role for him. So I'm kind of leaning that way, kind of like you are. Now, how do you feel if they don't get A.J. Brown? I'd still kind of be okay if they didn't take a receiver in the first round because, again, I don't think that guy is there.
Yeah.
Maybe Denzel Boston, he's going to give you that big outside X, but now I'd probably take one on day 2, take a flyer on like a project guy, but I don't think any of the receivers projected to be on the board when they're taking have the upside that like the tackles and the edge rushers do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I would like for them to add one, but if they add this offseason is Romeo Doubs and A.J. Brown, I'm good with that. I'll be happy if those are the two guys they added to this roster in that position. Look, I had high hopes for Brazel out of Tennessee. I think he's a big body, speedy guy, playmaker. But I mean, I'll be okay if they don't get a guy like that. I think that's more of a wish list kind of player for me. A lot of people have him as like the 5th, 6th receiver on the board. It kind of changes, depends on who you read or whatever. But he's one of the guys I like. I like Concepcion as one. You mentioned Tyson. If he slides that far, he'd be really intriguing. But if you already know you got A.J. Brown off to the side here, you're not going to waste that on. You're not going to use that pick on him because you got your playmakers now, and you're going to focus on real positions of need, which would be defensive end. And on the offense, a skill position guy I'd add before receiver, if I know I got A.J. Brown, would be a tight end. I think this team really needs a young tight end to go in there and eventually take over for Hunter Henry. But if they already know they got A.J. Brown, I think we'll see it in the draft as they go round after round after round without really taking a receiver. It's like, okay, maybe they know they have that guy. But I'll be okay if they don't take one of these guys in the first couple rounds.
I'm with you on tight end, too. Like, I think if they don't get A.J. Brown, so they added Romeo Doubs. I think there's a chance their other big pass-catching addition is a tight end, not another wide receiver.
Yeah.
Just the way the draft sticks out. You know what? I'd be okay with that. Mm-hmm. If they, assuming they get like a guy with legit receiving upside tight end. If it's a pure blocker, no. But if it is Oscar Delp, Max Clare, Sam Roush, one of these guys that we've talked a lot about, a good tight end would go a long way for Drake May. And Hunter Henry's a good player. I actually want to highlight a little bit later in the show just how good he is. I don't think people realize, and we'll get into that for another reason. But how would you feel if there are two big pass-catching additions this offseason, a Romeo Doubs and a day 2 tight end?
I'm good. I've been saying for the last couple of years on this show that they need a tight end, a pass-catching tight end. I wanted Isaiah Likely. I wanted one of those guys, in free agency. I think they need one of those. Drake May likes to operate in the middle of the field. I think having a big target out there is key. I mean, seeing a connection with him and Hunter Henry. Imagine if Henry was 10 years younger. What kind of production would Drake May have? What would Henry have? Just having a guy, a big 6'5", long arm, big body guy in the middle of the field, I think would do wonders for Drake May in this offense and would open things up for everybody else. So I still, no matter what they do with A.J. Brown or any other picks, I still want them to add a pass-catching tight end. And I think that's the key. The last missing piece to me of this offense is having that type of tight end in the middle of the field.
617-779-0985 if you want to join us. Here's the other thing. So we've talked a lot about right tackle. We've talked a lot about edge rusher. We've talked a lot about receiver. Are we maybe overlooking any position? Is there another position that the Patriots maybe immediately need to address? So we've talked kind of about corner as like a long-term need, but that's not I want to see him at a corner. I think that's important. That guy's not going to play a ton this year, hopefully. Are there any positions where they can maybe get instant impact players, or they should be looking to get instant impact players that we've maybe overlooked? If you want to weigh in, 617-779-0985. I think we have some thoughts on that as well. We will get to those next, coming up here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub.
It's crunch time. Don't cut corners with your lawn. Velvet Green Organic Lawn Care builds healthier lawns with
Clip Kairos Tonga. I know there's been a lot of mock drafts that have the Patriots taking defensive tackle in the first round. Caden McDonald, for instance, from Ohio State. I don't know about at 31.
Yeah.
Would they take a defensive tackle in the top 100? I could see it. They struggled against the run when Tonga was out last year. And they were down other guys too, but Tonga was a part of it. Do they go with a guy like Dominique Orange or Daryl Jackson or Dante Corleone, these run-stopping, really Orange and Corleone like nose tackles? Those guys are both 340. Jackson's a little smaller, but he's stylistically a run-stopping player. They need to come out of this draft with a nose tackle, and maybe it's later. They need that Tonga replacement, though. He's going to be a tough guy to replace. I like some of the defensive tackles they have on the roster, the depth guys, but those guys are more, maybe Eric Gregory a little bit can play that role, but like and Corey Durden can do it a little bit, but like Joshua Farmer, Leonard Taylor, Jeremiah Farmer, these guys are more like attacking, run, pass rushing defensive tackles.
You need an anchor,
need a run stopper.
Just
Yes.
Somebody could just dig their foot in and not move. I mean, I think watching Vince Wilfork play, he would go. It was almost like he would intentionally go down to like one knee so they couldn't move him. It was like a movie used to do all the time. It's pretty cool. But yeah, you mentioned Corleone. We said 340. They need a big body like that. They need somebody heavy in the middle. And also it could just be just a game record. Just mess things up. Just you're running certain stuff against him and he just blows it up. And just a guy you can't move in the middle of the field to go along with the other great D tackles that you have on this team. I think that's absolutely a need because you saw we were all looking for Tonga, second half of the season.
Right.
Wanted him to be healthy. Loved when he was out on the field. He was good for them on both sides of the field. When he had him in the run game, he was good for short yardage. So you got to replace a guy like that. The position to me that I think that kind of gets overlooked is linebacker. I think you need a coverage linebacker. I think you need a guy that can cover the tight ends. I know Spillane wasn't there in the game that they lost to Buffalo at home when they blew that lead. There was plays I think could have been had in the middle of the field if they had a really good, another good coverage linebacker out there that would have kind of taken away the Bills' tight ends and some of the plays they're making in the middle of the field. But I think a good playmaking tight end to go alongside Spillane, I think, is another position of need that kind of gets overlooked.
So, linebacker is my sneaky 31 pick. Like, if they surprise us,
okay,
I could just really see them liking Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech.
Yep.
Middle linebacker, former quarterback, smart player, instinctive player,
sees the
athlete,
field
gets to the
different.
ball. Yeah. Like, that's the one I could kind of see. But that's another one in the top 100. You mentioned a coverage linebacker, a guy like Kyle Lewis. What I think they need, what could really help is a linebacker that can play man coverage. Remember, we talked about this a little bit last year. Why weren't they playing more man with Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis? And if you go back to the Miami game early in the year, remember how many times Robert Spillane got beaten coverage over the middle?
Yeah, he was always a step late.
Right, and they got a little better with Christian Ellis, but getting a guy that can really come on the field and handle quicker running backs and handle quicker tight ends, that'd be a big add. And again, whether it's Kyle Lewis, whether it's Deontay Lawson, those would be guys that you're probably looking. I don't know, Lewis is getting 95. That's probably a trade up. Lawson's a guy you can maybe take at 95. I think Matt Dolph had him in his mock. I know he had him in his mock draft. I don't remember exactly where, but you can check that out on 985thesportshub.com. I could see them like linebacker, and then Robert Spillane's going to be 31. I could absolutely see that as an underrated need. It's a good call.
Yeah, I mean, and with a head coach that was a former linebacker in the league, he understands the importance of it. I think he's just, and I don't think they just need one guy here or there. I know they're not going to address it all in one draft. They can address all these things in one draft.
Right.
But I think over time, having a good linebacker room, goes a long way with having a great defense. It's hard to name your top 10 defenses of all time without naming the linebackers of being a huge part of it. And I think that's another need for them. And I think, again, in the run game and being able to cover tight ends, I think guys that can just tackle and wrap up, I think are huge. I think linebackers are a sneaky need for this team.
Where are you at with running back?
Oh, that's high. That was my number 2. That was my other sneaky one. Ramondre had a great season for them last year. We know what Trayvon Henderson gave him over 1,000 yards of total offense or whatever it was. I would start looking at another running back for Henderson. I don't want to have him on the team and all of a sudden the wheels just fall off and you only got one guy left. And Henderson, who's not really a 30 carry type of guy, 30 touches a game type of guy. I think they need to add another running back. Not just a third down guy. I want the third down back. I want McDaniels to get his third down guy back on his team. But I want to see them add another to start looking to replace Ramondre Stevenson and a guy that can play that type of guy, thumper, who could also be a playmaker once he gets to the next level. Running back is high for me.
So I don't know if they're going to get that third down back. You draft Travion Henderson, keeping Ramondre around. I think they're kind of still doing the well-rounded back thing that they were doing when McDaniels left. But I'm with you. They need to add another guy. They don't have enough depth. What's your ceiling on that? Are you taking it back in the top 100? For me, it's the fifth round. I said earlier, this isn't a great running back class, so you kind of have to thread the needle. It's not a great running back class, but you don't want to take one high. There are some UDFAs that I think have a little bit of upside too, but I want to see them at the very least. And they'll still have, they'll still have Terrell Jennings, so he'll still be in the mix. Leon Larison will be back. He was hurt last year. Elijah Mitchell, who they signed to the practice squad super late last year, brought back on a futures contract. He has some NFL experience. He played a full year as a spellback for the 49ers. So they'll have some options. I would like to see them bring in more competition for that spot, though.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you got to start looking to add running back depth. I mean, I think one of the keys to this team last year was they were relatively healthy all year, not just at running back, but you got to have some kind of depth back there in case one of these guys go down. You mentioned the schedule being tougher. You might face some stiffer defenses. You just going to need some kind of depth there. And I think, like you said, there's some guys you can get late in the round, 5th, 6th round guys. And with college football, you know this better than probably anyone. There's a lot of good running backs that are just in bad situations. The offensive lines are bad, and it's just bad teams that are down 30 all the time, so they're really not being able to shine. You can find a guy, if you really do your homework, that can fill a need, but you just have to be the one to find him. Somebody in this draft is going to find one of those running backs, and he's going to turn into a star. It happens all the time. You just got to be the team that's the one to do it.
I'll give you one more sneaky need that I even admittedly have not talked about enough, and this is usually the one I'm all over. Do you think they draft a punter? So the background on this, Bryce Behringer did not have a great year last year. He had his lowest net average, 40.6 yards per punt. He had his lowest, and he's punted about, he had his lowest total number of I-20s. His touchbacks were down, but he wasn't kicking the ball as well. He had more shanks than we're used to. He's also entering the final year of his rookie contract. And this is when he replaced Jake Bailey. Jake Bailey had kind of had a rough year. Yeah. Brought him in the last year of Bailey's contract. He replaced him. Now the question is, do they draft a guy? And if they draft a guy, I mean, it's his job. And maybe Behringer comes into camp and it's kind of a competition. But remember last year, Borregales versus Parker Romo was a competition, but it really wasn't. Or do they sign a UDFA? And that would be, to me, more like a real competition. So it's not a bad punter draft. There's not that, some years you get a great kicker or a great punter. Like a couple years ago, you had Jake Moody for Michigan, who was a top 100 pick and all that. This is actually, if you need a kicker, which they don't, it's a really good kicker draft. I like a lot of these kickers. Punter, it's a solid draft. There's 3 or 4 draftable punters. It's just it's Brett Thorson. I want to make sure I get the schools right. Brett Thorson from Georgia, Tommy Doman from Florida, Ryan Eckley from Michigan State, and if you want a little connection, Jack Stonehouse from Syracuse. His cousin, Ryan Stonehouse, played for Mike Vrabel with the Titans. Take that for whatever it's worth. I got 4 6-round picks. They should be trading some of those, but I don't think they're going to trade all of them. We know they'll draft specialists. They drafted 2 last year. They drafted the kicker and the long snapper. That's another one, and maybe we see them take a run out late in the draft.
Look, a lot of people overlook that when people do their mock drafts. Fans overlook it, not the teams.
Yeah.
until you watch, case in point, the Super Bowl. I thought the best player for the Seahawks was their punter.
Their kicker and their punter.
Fantastic. It was like a video game. Like, dude, he's got to be cheating. How many he's going to put inside the 5 in a Super Bowl? He was unbelievable. But I mean, it's one of those positions you don't notice until you see one of them mess up or one of them make a great play, pinning a team back deep. I think a good punter absolutely helps your defense out. And I didn't realize that, his numbers were that falling off that much. But yeah, that's absolutely a position you got to address. If you can find somebody better, absolutely do it.
I think that pretty much hits on everything, right? I was going to say, is there any position that we missed? We didn't really talk about
quarterback.
That's you know what?
I'm talking about
depth.
Vrabel did say that they want to add an arm. That is fair.
Good point.
You got any late day 3 quarterbacks you like for them, Cerrone?
No, I don't have him, but I think they got to do something. I think you got to have some depth there. Look, if you need him, something's wrong. Something happened. But I mean, it's a good call by you, man. They need some depth back there.
No, Vrabel said it this week. You're exactly right. Maybe good that call. Makes it not a sneaky need because Vrabel said it. Sawyer Robertson from Baylor and Joe Fiano from UConn. And maybe Haynes King from Georgia Tech are the ones I look at.
I like Haynes King. I like him as a football player.
They met with him.
He's good.
I still think he could be like Taysom Hill-ish. He's shorter, and maybe he does it as a running back and not as a tight end. But that thing where he's playing special teams, you're giving him the ball. There's some package quarterback plays. He's not like an outright quarterback to me.
I'm just saying for a late day 2, early day 3, can you do better than Tommy DeVito? I think you probably could.
You probably could. I don't know that they will. I think they have too many other needs. I don't think they'd get that aggressive with it. Maybe early day if Taylon Green falls and they're at that 171 pick because he's just got such potential and. Now you're doing the Joe Milton thing again where we're going to bring this guy in. He's going to ball out in the preseason. We're going to try to flip him in a year or two for more than we took him for. But I think Taylon Green could go fringe top 100. I'm surprised he's not being projected higher than he is.
Could you see King as a tight end from Georgia Tech?
Yeah. He's 6'2". Is he? I just think he's a little too short.
Oh, he's too short.
He has the physical makeup. That's why I said running back, kind of just gadget.
Yeah.
I don't know what his position is, but I love the way he runs the football.
Yes.
He's physical.
He was great for college football.
Yeah. Yeah, 6'1", 6'2", 212. Probably not a tight end.
Yeah.
The one other position, just to be thorough, I think we've kind of hit on everything in the segment. The one other position I throw out there is guard. I don't think they're going to take a center. Guard. There's a lot of late day or mid-late day 3. There's a lot of these big oversized guards that are very scheme specific. Yeah. Jeremiah Wright from Auburn, Inez Cooper from Miami, Armaj Reed Adams from Texas A&M, Micah Morris from Georgia, that aren't projected as high because not every team uses players like that. Mm-hmm. The Patriots do. Mike Onwenu's in a contract here. Do they draft one of those guys to add some depth and take over eventually? Sorry, go ahead.
What's his name from the Jets? Vertucker. His health is always going to be an issue.
I would not hate them adding extra guard depth in general too. That's a good point.
Yeah. So I mean, they have some work to do.
I will say this too. I will throw this in. The Patriots have drafted. Now this is with different people running the room and everything, but not only have the Patriots drafted at least one lineman in every draft since 2014, they have taken multiple offensive linemen in 10 of the last 12 drafts.
Really?
Yeah. And now some of that is they took a guard or a center with their 7th round pick and he never got cut after camp and never was on a team again. They had a guy, remember Dustin Woodard from Memphis? I think he was the 2020 draft. He retired before training camp. So, I mean, there's some of that is total, complete dart throws. Andrew Stuber was a tackle for Michigan. They took in the 6th or 7th round. Tore his hamstring or something in off-season workouts, never played I think he ended up with the Bengals for a little bit, but never played for the Patriots. So that's not high investments.
Yeah.
But 10 of the last 12 drafts, they've taken multiple offensive linemen. They've taken at least one in every draft since 2014. I don't think they're going to take 2 tackles. They still have Marcus Bryant. They signed James Hudson. I think if they take a second lineman, it's going to be a guard.
It's going to be a guard.
That's just my guess. So
yeah,
I think Yadni Kajustin and Hjalte Froholt are still in the league from that 2019 draft.
I don't know if Yadni is. Hjalte Froholt is like one of the better centers in the league. They quit on him too early. They were playing him at guard. He bounced around a little bit. He moved to center. He ended up with the Cardinals, and he's been their starting center for the last couple of years. He's a good player. I remember that was the first draft me and Evan Lazar worked together, and I was reading off the picks. We were live on the air during the draft, and I was like, oh, boy, I don't even know this name. Like, you're going to have to help me here because I couldn't pronounce it.
We made Fourier read those names.
And he was like, oh, man, he knew who it was because I couldn't pronounce it. He was all excited. That was this guy. No, Yadni, I think, has been out of the league. He was hurt. He was coming off a torn ACL.
He signed on with the Miami Dolphins in 2025, going into their 2025 season, but he ended up on injured reserve just a couple days
ago.
ago.
So he was drafted off an injury, and he was kind of a lottery pick, and he was never healthy here, and he hasn't played an NFL game since 2022. But, yeah, there's some, I mean, guys will sit around and name random NFL players. 2022, their last two picks, Chasen Hines and Andrew Stuber. 2021, they take William Sherman in the 6th round. In 2020, they drafted 2 offensive linemen in the 6th round, Mike Onwenu and Justin Herron. Herron hung around a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Dustin Woodard, who I mentioned, who retired. They drafted Connor McDermott in the 6th round in 2017. He actually hung around. Sometimes these guys hit. 6th round in 2016, Ted Karras.
Yeah.
He's obviously become a very good player. So, I don't know, little Patriots line draft history there for you. That's for the hardos. That's for the real draft nerds. We can do a little more of this on the other side. We got to take a break. If you want to hop on 617-779-0985, we do have some open phone lines. We can get your calls right after this here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the Sports Hub.
Tune into the Bruins Radio Network.
So I mentioned that stat earlier. The Patriots have taken at least one offensive lineman in every draft since 2014, multiple in 10 of 12. And I went back and looked because somebody texted me, well, if they've used all that capital on offensive linemen, like why isn't the line better? So you want the last 10 years of Patriots offensive line?
This is going to hurt.
Well, so first off, the last draft they didn't, because somebody asked what that was too. It was actually a pretty good draft. There's one very notable bust in here in 2013. Do you remember which draft this was, Cerrone?
No, I'm not sure.
So, again, there's one jump scare, but overall, I would say this is a good draft. They traded out of the first round that year. They moved back. They took Jamie Collins, then Aaron Dobson, Logan Ryan, Daron Harmon. They go back-to-back Rutgers defensive backs in the third round, and then Josh Boyce, Michael Buchanan, Steve Boharnis, guys that didn't really end up playing for them. But Collins, Ryan, Harmon is not bad. Definitely would have been a little bit better if Dobson had worked out.
You think that one catch got him drafted?
So he has, like, if you look, there's like 3 or 4 of those. He actually had some other, but yeah. If you go back and actually watch what happens in between those, there's not much.
It's that backhanded catch in the end zone.
He was
unbelievable catch, but I think that got him selected where he
was kind of Keon Coleman before Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
Where there were some like jaw-dropping catches and you're like, wow. And then you look at the rest of it and it's like, oh, that's all there is.
He dropped the 3rd and 5 slant wide open.
So the next year, the Patriots take 3 offensive linemen: Brian Stork, Cameron Fleming, Brian Stork in the 4th, Cam Fleming in the 4th, John Halapio in the 6th. So all day 3 picks. Stork was good before he had to retire early for concussions. Fleming was a solid swing tackle. No starters there. The next year, again, day 3, only day 3 picks on the offensive line: Trey Jackson, Shaq Mason. That's pretty good for the 4th round. Pretty good. The next year, they finally go back to taking an offensive lineman in the top 100. It was the first time they'd done so in 5 years. They took Nate Solder in 2011. They take Joe Tooney in the 3rd round and Ted Karras in the 6th. And those are their only 2 offensive line picks. Great.
That's a hit.
That's a hit and a hit. The next year, they only have 4 picks. This is the year they traded their first for Brandon Cooks. They take Tony Garcia in the 3rd round. Never played. Remember, he got sick? He's out of Troy. And then Connor McDermott in the 6th, who ended up bouncing around the NFL as a backup tackle. He got cut out of camp and ended up back here. So that's not great. 3rd round, but not really what you're looking for. One of the years they only took 1, it was the 1st round. They took Isaiah Wynn. That was 2018. The next year, this is what got us talking about this. Yodny Kajus for a Holt. That's the 3rd and 4th. The year after that, they take 3 late: Mike Onwenu, Justin Huron, Dustin Woodard. The year after that, only 1: William Sherman, tackle, 6th round. The year after that, they take Cole Strange in the 1st round. First time in 11 years, or no, not, because they took Isaiah Wynn, but they use a rare 1st-round pick on a lineman. And then their last 2 picks are offensive linemen: Chasen Hines in the 6th, Andrew Stuber in the 7th. I think Hines played like a game for them, maybe. Stuber had some injuries. And then more recently, Jake Andrews, Sidney So, Antonio Mafi. That's all day 3. 2024, Caden Wallace, Slade Robinson, 3rd and 4th round. And then last year, Will Campbell, Jared Wilson, Marcus Bryant. So a lot of it is day 3. A lot of it is Flyers on day 3, but they will hammer linemen. They will do that.
So out of all those, you say they got about 5 hits, maybe?
Like real hits. We'll take off last year's draft because it's too early.
Too early, yeah.
So it's weird. Like Jake Andrews is starting center for the Texans now. Yeah. So is that? But he never played.
Oh,
here.
Right. His guys that hit. They ended up somewhere else. Yeah.
So if we're talking about hits for them, it's Onwenu. I don't know if you want to call Isaiah Wynn a hit. A lot of people didn't like him, and he definitely didn't justify the 1st-round pick. But he also wasn't like a bad player for them.
Yeah.
I will call him half. Joe Tooney's absolutely a hit. Ted Karras is a hit. Shaq Mason's a hit. You want to throw in David Andrews in there as UDFA. We'll call him half. So between him and Isaiah Wynn, in 10 years, you drafted 1 offensive line, basically. You got 5 players.
Yeah.
So, not Now, but again, it's like they missed on a lot of guys, but
the guys are good elsewhere.
But also, is Andrew Stuber at pick 245 a miss?
Yeah.
Or is that the 7th round of the draft?
Yeah.
So however you want to categorize that, but they've been trying. They've been trying. And do we get so how many if I were to, all right. Over under 2.5 offensive linemen the Patriots draft this year?
Oh. Over.
You think
I think the later rounds, I think you're going to see offensive linemen. I think a center. I think they need a center and guard. I think guard is. I think the majority is. I think you can see multiple guards. I think that's where multiple positions come from. I think that guard position, they need depth. They need depth pieces at guard, and I think that's where it's going to come.
So a tackle and 2 guards is kind of where you're at.
Yeah,
I can see it.
And who's their backup center? Like who do you trust?
Ben Brown.
Ben Brown. Okay,
I feel good about Ben Brown. I'm not super worried about center. I'm more worried about guard, especially if Ben Brown's your backup center and your backup guard.
Right.
You brought this up earlier with Vera Tucker's injury history. Yeah. I'm going to say under though. I'm going to say under. I think they take a tackle relatively early. We'll call it the top 131 because that's where their 2nd, 4th round pick is. Right. I think somewhere in those first 4 selections that they own, 5. I think that's their 5th pick. In those first 5 selections they own, they draft a tackle, and then I'm going to say a guard later on day 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's my and there'll be UDFAs and maybe UDFA makes
They should be looking for that next David Andrews. I'm not even saying that facetiously. Like it can't
or just in general.
Just in general, I think it can be done, and you save your draft capital that way. I think that that list you just read off shows that if you're not getting a guy late, then you absolutely can find a guy off the streets, and at the very least, he's a depth piece for you.
Well, Mike Vrabel mentioned this week he was asked about the state of the offensive line, and he said the league as a whole needs to do a better job developing linemen.
Is that because he's out there pushing guys around and putting the pads on? He's like, you got to do it my way, guys.
Well, I think he meant the Patriots included. Like, we've talked about this. The offensive line pipeline in the NFL is not in good shape right now.
They're getting kind of small, aren't they?
Yeah. So,
is that responsibility, is that on the NFL, or is the development hit a wall on the college level? Like, too many guys coming out that are raw, that just don't know what they're doing technically,
I think it goes back further than that. I mean, kids come up playing flag, so you might not even play line until you're in high school. And then, the college offenses, because these kids are more raw, a lot of the spread stuff takes a lot of the pressure off the offensive linemen. They're not running similar systems to what they're going to run in the NFL. So they're not developing. It starts, unless kids are playing it. Right? If you're a fringe, if you're like, because in high school, there aren't really a lot of 300-pound tackles. You're playing tackle at probably 260, 270. If you're a really good athlete at that weight,
you're playing defensive end.
Right. You're either going to play the edge rusher, or you're going to drop 10 pounds and play tight end. There's a lot of tight ends that started as tackles.
Yeah.
And if you are a 300-pound guy, maybe play defensive tackle. So It all goes back, and there is the NFL side of it too, where there's less practice time, and the practices are less padded. It's a whole figuring out how to properly, and some teams can do it. Figuring out how to properly coach these guys. If you can do that, it's a major advantage. The Eagles have done it. The Eagles have done it. It's a major advantage for them, and the Patriots need to get there. All right, we got to hit the headlines. We'll come back. I want to get to some other Patriots news from this past week. Hard Knocks, Hall of Fame, Stephon Gilmore. You want to join in, 617-779-0985. Right back after these headlines. No commercials on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
From the Delaware Tiger Studios, this is Boston's home for sports. Touchdown!
The Kickoff. So not coming this summer. They booked it ahead, probably because they've had so much trouble having teams do this. It's going to be Seattle this summer and then the Patriots next year. You excited, Cerrone?
Yeah, I am. I think, for years it was like, no, you don't want the Patriots on. And some people said they thought it'd be cool with Belichick and all that other stuff, Belichick and Brady. But I think over the last couple of years, because of all the documentaries and the Forged in Foxborough, all the stuff going on, it's like you basically done it already. It's just let the NFL's going to do theirs, and I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be a good watch. I would like for it to be this season. The AJ Brown stuff, if that happens and all that, I think that'd be pretty cool. Coming off a Super Bowl appearance, I think that'd be pretty cool. I think Seattle's doing it this year, correct?
Yes.
So yeah, they're doing that, their Super Bowl thing or whatever. But I think you have young stars now. I think with Drake May and Gonzalez and, whatever you have going forward, I think it'd be pretty cool. You got the new facility opening up and all that stuff. And it's just the Patriots, getting back to the Patriots. Mike Vrabel, he's a character in himself. I think it'd be pretty cool, watching them. And again, we've seen enough Patriots documentaries done by themselves and others over the last couple of years to a Hard Knocks. It shouldn't bother too many people as it would have 10 years ago.
Well, the other interesting thing will be, hopefully, Drake May will have just signed a contract making him the highest paid quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
Because he'll be eligible for that extension next offseason. It'll be cool. Hard Knocks hasn't hit the same for me for like the last 10 years. And there's a story that J.J. Watt picked up the Dolphin snap count by watching it, so they cut out a lot of the football stuff. It'll be cool. I just like it would, and I understand why they didn't have it during the Belichick Brady era. One, Bill wouldn't want it. Two, there were like rules about who could be on it. I think you'd have missed the playoffs. You couldn't have a new coach, something like that. And then they just couldn't get teams to agree to it. So they had to loosen all that up, and they've continued to loosen it up. But it'll be cool.
And one thing I would say, too, the early days of Hard Knocks, the practice and training camp rules were different.
Yeah.
It was a lot of practice. It was a lot of hitting. I remember the Jets one, I think, years ago. And they spent like a half hour on a goal line drills, and they were laying each other out. And it's like they don't do that anymore. And I think that's a part of the appeal. That's a part of the part that's missing from Hard Knocks that people used to really like.
Yeah, it's not quite the same show, but I'll be interested to see who they follow because they usually pick a couple players, and some of those guys might not even be here, so we don't know. But
that's a good point. Yeah,
I was joking with Matt Dolph. We've got to get T-shirts and hats that have 985thesportshub.com and big letters on them. So every time we end up in the background of a shot of a media scrum or something, it's like branding. And now I got 2 years to
prepare,
lose weight, get in shape. So I'm not in the background,
I tell you what, you joke about that. Everybody knows now it's going to be on Hard Knocks. Oh, it's going to look like the Met Gala out there on the sidelines. Everybody's going to be all cleaned up, and it's just knowing that the cameras are going to be there. It's the vibe is going to be different, and everybody's going to want to be there at every single practice.
So that's maybe the thing I'm the most interested in, not the behind the scenes of Patriots training camp. I'm kind of interested in the behind the scenes of Hard Knocks.
Good point.
And to see what goes into actually producing it. And
that's a great point.
To be fair, that's maybe more of a me thing, covering the team and all of that. But if you're at training camp, you're going to see the crews running around and doing this and that on the practice field. And it was, you couldn't really see it with Forged in Foxborough because the Patriots always have a bunch of film crews doing stuff, and you don't know what everybody's doing, and it's their social team and also football ops filming the practice.
Oh, you're gonna see that big HBO logo on everything,
right? I'm kind of interested about what goes in. I don't know. Maybe that's me being a media dork. I'm kind of interested to see what goes into it
and what they air, because you're going to be there and seeing every play they see.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's well, how come they didn't show that and they only showed this? How come they only showed this angle? And how come they show they'll highlight a guy who's going off for that one day, and it's oh man, what a spectacular day. And you're sitting there man, that dude got cooked all day, but the editing made it look like the guy was having a great day, but you're going to actually be able to see it firsthand and then watch the episode a week later and compare to what really happened and what didn't make the cutting floor. You know what I'm saying?
So I was going to say, I wasn't thinking of that, but it will be interesting, like, during the week, oh, I wonder if they're going to talk about this. Oh, I bet we won't see that. And then, like, compare it.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday night, or do they change it? I always forget.
I'm not sure.
Wednesday night, Sunday nights, whatever it is. That's going to be interesting. I didn't think about it that way. Like, yeah, okay, this is what happened last week. And maybe it tells me, am I looking at the right stuff? Is there other stuff I need to look more at? That's going to be, I guess that'll be part of covering camp, right? Will be whoever becomes the big Hard Knocks names. People are going to want to know about them during the week.
Yeah, like you're sitting there and they got Efton Chisholm in super slow-mo and 4K, like he's Jerry Rice out there just tearing it up. And you're like, he only caught 3 passes, but they're going to make it look, with the editing verse to what you really saw in person, like, or how another guy had a big day and they never covered that player. You know what I'm saying? Like, just comparing what really happened to what you see on HBO.
Are you looking forward to Hard Knocks training camp with the New England Patriots? 617-779-0985. Little bit, one more thing, Patriots team news. The Hall of Fame committee, the Patriots Hall of Fame committee met this week. Who's going to be on the ballot this year? Big name eligible for the first time. Are some names getting overlooked? You want to weigh in on that? Patriots Hall of Fame, 617-779-0985. We'll get to that next here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Sports Sunday Kickoff is on the way on the Sports Hub.
Remember, Patriots Hall of Fame committee met Wednesday, and this year's 3 finalists should be announced this week, followed by a fan vote to select the one inductee. He mentioned some of the nominees: defensive lineman Julius Adams, offensive lineman Logan Mankins, safety Lawyer Malloy, running back / special teamer Moisita Tupu, wide receiver Wes Welker, and then it feels like it's been Adam Vinatieri, Logan Mankins, and the guy who ultimately gets inducted the last 3 or 4 years. There are 2 first-timers this year, linebacker Dante Hightower and tight end Rob Gronkowski. Now, look, I've said for a long time Vinatieri's overdue. He should get in. He should get in relatively soon. It's Gronk. Fine.
That stinks.
But you're going to have Gronk. You're going to have McCourty. Hightower. So here's the interesting one for me. Hightower or Vinatieri? You have a vote. Hightower or Vinatieri?
Vinatieri. I put Vinatieri. Hightower deserves to be in, but Vinatieri should have. Yeah, Vinatieri gets my vote.
So the other one, McCourty, is going to be.
He should have a statue, but that's just me.
McCourty's going to be eligible next year. McCourty, Hightower, Vinatieri.
Vinatieri still. And Vinatieri is just so important to this franchise.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens because it's going to be Gronk this year. And then again, between Hightower, McCourty, Vinatieri, Mencken should still get in. Welker will be an interesting one. There are going to be some tough discussions here, but I really hope Vinatieri doesn't have to wait too long. I get it's online voting. Online means mostly younger people who maybe don't remember Adam Vinatieri as much. But I not over Gronk. I think he has a case with the rest of them. Logan Mankins too, but Mankins doesn't have a ring, which changes things a little bit. I think he has a case with the rest of those guys. I think he does. Do you feel strongly about? I mean, I think we agree, right? It's going to be Gronk this year.
Yeah, Gronk this year. After that, it's Wes Welker. I wouldn't put anybody else over Vinatieri.
Oh, okay.
Besides
I was going to
Gronk.
say, wow.
Yeah, no. Wes has got the same problem. He didn't win. He didn't have that ring. And I think that really hurts him a lot. But numbers-wise, yeah, he's up there. But Vinatieri, I know there's a spot. I don't know if it's still there. I can't. It's been a long time. The spot where he actually kicked the field goal against.
Yeah, I forget what that is now. It was in Olympia. In one of the stores at Patriots Place that marks where he kicked the snowball kick. Yes.
Yeah, it's this. I think he deserves more than just being in the Hall of Fame. Something needs to be named after him or something. He was just so integral to the first 3 Super Bowls, so key. And I think he's just, you got to have him up there as a Patriot Hall of Famer. Gronk, you can't, come on now. Gronk is Gronk. But outside of that, it's got to be Vinatieri.
Is there anybody else on that list you feel strongly about? Like Lawyer Malloy. He played in 2 Super Bowls, won 1. He was a very good player. Yeah. I don't remember Tutupu. I'm not old enough to remember him.
That's before my time.
A very good player. Mankins is an interesting one because he might be the second best guard in the history of the franchise. I mean, there's some competition there, Joe Tooney, but he's a heck of a player. But he didn't. He just missed it. He was drafted the year after the 2004 Super Bowl, and he was traded going into the 2014 season. So he pulled a reverse Vince Wilfork. Wilfork's the only one besides Brady to have a ring from each part of the dynasty. Mankins missed it by 1 year on each side. It wouldn't be wrong for him to be in, but he's somebody I'm like, okay.
He can wait a little bit.
That one can wait.
Yeah. But with this team, as good as they were for so long, you could be waiting a long time. It's like every time it's like another name pops up, like, oh yeah, I forgot about him. I mean, it's Vinatieri though.
So I got another one for you because I get heat for this, but I don't care. You're in on Welker, fine. We're gonna put Welker in. He's got a bunch of the franchise receiving records, like career franchise receiving records.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on Randy Moss?
Ooh, that's tough.
That's a good one.
That's a real good one.
He's so important to like one of the most pivotal seasons in the history of this franchise, and I think that alone should give him some serious contention. Regardless of how their almost undefeated season ends, that was such a big year for this franchise, and Randy Moss was all over it.
And my other thing is, I get it. A lot of people cite, well, it didn't end well. It was short and it didn't end well.
There's a lot of guys at Patriot Hall of Fame where it didn't end well.
It maybe didn't end well in the moment. That reception he got at the Brady ceremony.
Yeah.
Like, he is beloved by Patriots fans. He is, and this is a tough question to ask us because we're biased. What's the first team you think of when you think of Randy Moss? Like, is he as much a Patriot as he is a Viking?
Yes.
It's not as long of a time. Like, he's not a Raider.
Yeah.
Right? The Raiders are third on that list. Then he has the random stints with, like, the Titans and the Niners at the end.
Well, how long did he actually play for the Vikings?
Oh, I think more than twice as long as Patriots because he went back.
8 years.
Oh, he did go
literally
back.
twice as long. Eight years in Minnesota, 4 New England, 113 games for the Vikings, 52 for the Patriots.
I think when you think of him in Minnesota, you always think about his rookie year. You think about his rookie year with Chris Carter and the big game against the Cowboys, 3 catches, 3 touchdowns, whatever. Outside of that, it's the mooning situation, and that was really it. But with everything else, you think of him more as a Patriot. It's very similar to Kevin Garnett. It's
that's a good.
KG played Minnesota, won MVP, all these other things, but the way he carries himself and the way he views himself as a Celtic. And I think Randy Moss is the same way. And I think because those other franchises didn't embrace him the way the Patriots did, I think that might have something to do with it. For Randy Moss, I look at him as a Patriot, even though he wasn't there that long. But that's a good one, Alex.
Kevin Garnett, 14 years with the, I almost said Vikings, Timberwolves. Oh, it's also Minnesota. That's kind of
Minnesota.
weird.
It's a Minnesota thing.
And he also went back at the end of his career.
Did we get them both the same year, too? Kevin Garnett,
yes,
07,
I think
08.
so.
Randy Moss came in 08. That's why I never noticed that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm late to this, and this has been a thing. That's wild.
Yeah.
We just took Minnesota's 2 biggest stars in this.
And they both had their greatest seasons, I guess, ever at the same time.
Randy didn't come from Minnesota.
He came from the Raiders.
Came from the Raiders, so that's a little different.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I never put that together. But that's kind of nuts. I never realized that. So I've always said Randy Moss, and I'm not in a rush to get Randy Moss in. Gronk, Hightower, Vinatieri. I'd put Mankins in before him. He's similar to Welker, some of those shorter term guys. I have a couple more I want to get to in a little bit, but I want to give you one more guy to bring it back to the current team. Because everybody always talks about when we do the Patriots Hall of Fame, well, they're going to have this backlog, right, of the dynasty guys. And yeah, they only do one at a time, and they do that to have enough because they're going to run out of dynasty guys, and then what? And that implies to me that after 2018, there haven't been any players worth putting in. And look, we hope Drake may in like 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? There might be a guy, but I think like, okay, between Super Bowl appearances, was there anybody that we realistically could talk about that you put in to represent that era and that earned it? And like, so it's not a true dead period. So you don't have like a 5-year gap where there were no players on the team, who were viable for all. And there are more guys to get in. I don't think we mentioned David Andrews. Like, he'll get in.
Yeah.
Is Hunter Henry Patriots Hall of Famer? And before you answer, I'm going to give you some numbers.
He's probably really close.
In tight end, among tight ends in Patriots history, very good history. Gronk, Ben Coates, Russ Francis is a very underrated player. Marv Cook. Hunter Henry is third all-time in receptions by a Patriots tight end. Now, he's not going to get to second, at least not anytime soon. He's at 259. Ben Coates is at 490. So he's not going to get to second there. Yards, he's fourth. He is going to pass Russ Francis this year for 30. Should. He's about 200 yards behind Russ Francis. And he's 2 touchdowns behind Russ Francis. He's at 26. Francis is at 28. So assuming he plays the full year this year, he is solidly going to be in third place in franchise history among tight ends in catches, yards, and touchdowns. He was one of the top receiving options on a team that went to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll have been here for 6 years, which is not a short time in the NFL. And maybe he gets one more year after that. Who knows? There's an argument.
Yeah, there is.
There's a real argument that Hunter Henry has put together a Patriots Hall of Fame career. He might be the third best tight end in Patriots history.
Yeah, and I don't think it's fair to hold the fact that he didn't win the Super Bowl against him when the guys that he's competing against, Gronk's the only one. So he's the only tight end to win. Ben Coates, Francis, none of those guys won it.
Let's say they go back this year and win. He's a lock, Red Jackson.
He's in.
That's the only thing working against him is he played on a lot of bad teams.
Yeah.
If they win a Super Bowl, and you figure he'll be a big part of that if they do, then he's absolutely a Patriots Hall of Famer. That's really the only reason to me he isn't right now. And again, put Devin McCourty and David Andrews, and I don't think we've even said Matthew Slater's name yet. Put those guys in earlier, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But when the time comes, like if Logan Mankins is in, there's a case for Hunter Henry to be in.
Yeah. Hunter Henry, yeah. That's a good point. To be third all time. And look, I don't think any tight end's going to come in and pass what Ben Coates and Rob Gronkowski did, but...
No, so just for scale, Hunter Henry's at 259 catches. Ben Coates is at 490. Gronk is at 521.
Yeah.
Yards. Hunter Henry's at 2,900. Russ Francis is at 31. Ben Coates is at 5,400. So Hunter Henry needs like 2,000 yards to get Coates. And then Gronk is at 7,800. So he's more than 2,000 ahead of Coates. Touchdowns, this is where it gets a little silly. Hunter Henry's at 26. So only 5 Patriots tight ends have caught 20 touchdowns. Ben Watson caught exactly 20. Hunter Henry's at 26 and counting. Russ Francis is at 28. Ben Coates is at 50. So you nearly double it from third to second. Rob Gronkowski is at 79. So those aren't being caught.
Imagine
Sorry,
if he
continue.
stayed healthy.
I know, right?
So, imagine Ben Coates playing in a pass-happy era.
That's so.
He was unbelievable in the open field.
Where you couldn't, because he was so much bigger than everybody else. Imagine if he couldn't hit him in coverage. Ben Coates is the second best tight end of the 90s behind Sharp. Am I wrong there?
Yes, absolutely agree. Thank you for saying that.
He should be in the Hall of Fame.
He absolutely should be in the Hall of Fame. Ben
There were
Coates
some
was
other guys
unbelievable.
that maybe had better spurts in the 90s, but 1990 to 1999, the entirety of it, Ben Coates was the second best tight end.
Yes.
I think the numbers bear that out. I think he's the second most productive.
I can't think of, when did Gonzalez come in the league?
Not until the mid-90s.
Late
at
90s?
least.
Yeah.
1997.
Okay, so
Ben Coates.
he was a better tight end than Ben Coates, like at the end there, for sure.
But for the 90s, Ben Coates, absolutely.
But no, to bring it back to Hunter Henry, I think that's fair. Most catches by a tight end, 1990 to 1999. Number 1, Shannon Sharp. Number 2, Ben Coates. So Sharp had 552. Ben Coates had 490. Nobody else had more than 370. That was Brent Jones, who I don't even remember. Yards, Shannon Sharp, 7,000. Ben Coates, 5,400. Brent Jones, 4,600. Touchdowns, number 1, Ben Coates, 50.
So he had more touchdowns in the 90s than Shannon Sharp.
Yep, Shannon Sharp had 44. And they both played. Coates actually played one less year. Coates played 2 fewer games than Sharp did.
So who are the tight ends that went in the Hall of Fame in the 90s?
Who else is up here on this list? Brent Jones, Wesley Walls, Keith Jackson.
Yeah.
Just looking at the guys towards the top. Frank Wycheck. Yeah, Tony Gonzalez only played 3 years, and he's still towards the top. They weren't really throwing to tight ends a lot.
Yeah.
In the 90s.
I did not know. I didn't realize he had more touchdowns than Sharp in the 90s.
Yeah.
I knew he was good, but I didn't realize he had more. Interesting. Very interesting.
All right, I got one more potential Patriots Hall of Famer I want to get to because he was in the news this week. Plus your call at 617-779-0985 here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub.
gold jacket for sure. That's coming. That's coming first ballot. Well, we can't say anybody's guaranteed first ballot anymore because those frauds didn't put Bill Belichick in. But should be. Patriots Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Was another guy like Randy Moss was only here for 4 years, but he wins a ring. Was key on that team. Wins Defensive Player of the Year the next year. Would you put him in?
Yeah, I think I would. Not only to play in the Super Bowl, he has a NFL Films play that'll be replayed forever against Jacksonville. That one-handed game-saving play, I think that's you talk about another statue. That's a great image for Patriot Nation there. But I think Gilmore, he winning a Super Bowl, man, helping your team win, being a key part of it. Like you said, Defensive Player of the Year, all those things. Yeah, I think he's in. I don't know when, but I think he is Patriots Hall of Fame material for sure.
Where does he rank to you among the best Patriots corners?
Oh, we had this conversation yesterday. It got a little heated.
Okay. All right. Fill me in here. Fill me in.
We had a conversation. Leroy Irvin asked a simple question. Who's the best cornerbacks? But he said since 2001.
Okay. So we're not including Mike Haynes.
You're right. Since 2001.
Because Mike Haynes might be the best Patriots corner of all time.
Yeah. I think everybody probably would agree. But since 2001, and it was like, well, I think everybody had the same list. We had Ty Law, Stephon Gilmore, and then the third guy was kind of a controversial one. I said Asante Samuel. Yeah. I had Asante Samuel. We both had Asante Samuel.
Over Revis?
Over Revis. And the thing with Revis was it was 1 year.
Oh, but what a year it was.
He had 1 year, whatever. But Asante Samuel had a couple years. We had like 10 interceptions. He had 10 picks and led the league in pass breakups and didn't make the Pro Bowl. And then he was all pro the year after that in 07.
Then Philly, right? Oh, no, that was here, and then he went to Philly.
He was all pro in 07, undefeated season that year. And I think he led the league in interceptions again that season as well. And statistically, he was better out of all those guys. But again, Revis had 1 year. Gilmore had 4, I believe it was. But I think those were the 3 that we had. But people got real upset that I had, we both had Asante Samuel on our list. And it was pretty interesting. And the other part was, since 2001, Ty Law, I think, had 2 playoff runs, and that was it. He was hurt. One of them.
Yeah.
I think he was out for the season. So he was there basically for 2 playoff runs, and he was gone off to Kansas City after that. And once we got to looking, it was like, statistically, Samuel was better than all of them. But, yeah, we had Gilmore, Ty Law, and Asante Samuel. But Gilmore on the all-time list, yeah, I think he's pretty high.
So Samuel had a better Patriots career, for sure.
Yeah.
Was he ever in one of those years better than Revis was in 14? I think
07.
So.
I think 07 he was.
He was better in 07 than Revis was in 14.
He had 4 touchdowns. He had like 8 interceptions and 4 touchdowns.
Revis has no stats because nobody threw at him.
Hey, yeah. But
they play the position differently, but
yeah, they do. Revis is like Deion Sanders. Deion didn't lead the league in interceptions because no one bothered. Gonzalez is another one. We were like Gonzalez. Oh, he was the other guy that we were like the run he had last year in the playoffs. You can stop putting Gonzalez up on that list as well, but he doesn't.
Yeah, Gonzalez is not going to be on here.
Yeah, he's going to be on that list, but he's not a guy to get stats because they don't throw at him. But Samuel, they did throw at him, and every time he made people pay.
Right, the T-step. That was his move.
Yeah, and he went to Philly and made the Pro Bowl 4 years in a row in Philadelphia. Like, he was a good football player, and he has like 51 interceptions or something crazy like that. But yeah, it was controversial putting him on there. I wanted to put Revis, but I think the 1 year thing is what scared me off.
Most interceptions. Let's do it just kind of like we did with the tight ends. Most interceptions since 2000 by a Patriots cornerback. Number 1, if you want to just go off production, doesn't J.C. Jackson belong on your list? Mr. INT?
Where is he at?
He has the most interceptions by Patriots cornerback since 2000. He had 25 interceptions in 70 games. He has the second most pass breakups. Samuel had 79. He had 59. But he has the most interceptions.
Most interceptions
by Patriots corner.
Didn't know that.
Counting Devin McCourty as a safety.
Yeah.
Then Samuel. Then Ty Law had 16. Logan Ryan had 13. Jonathan Jones belongs in here. He's the best slot corner.
Yeah.
Of the modern. Then Gilmore with 11. So yeah, geez, Revis is down here, but it's because nobody threw at him.
No, he played probably the fewest amount of games of all those guys on that list. He only gave you 1 year.
Revis had 2. Revis had the same number of interceptions during his time with the Patriots as Jalen Mills, and only one more pass breakup.
He was never targeted, though.
But nobody ever threw at him. One more personal favorite of mine. I don't think he's quite on this list. So again, Law, Gilmore, Revis, Samuel are definitely the top. We can debate Revis or Samuel for that third spot. Who'd you have first, Law or Gilmore?
Say it again. Say the part.
Who'd you have first, Law or Gilmore?
Oh, Law. We had Law number 1.
Okay.
The Super Bowls, multiple Super Bowls.
Yeah. I would agree with you. I still go Law over Gilmore, but it's close. No love for Aqib Talib?
A caller mentioned that, and we couldn't get to him. He dropped out. That name came up. Aqib Talib's name came up.
Now, what's tough is he came right before Gilmore.
Yeah.
And Malcolm Butler should be in this conversation too.
Wes Welker doesn't take him out. I think it's a different conversation for Aqib Talib because I thought he was that important to that play.
Remember they had him lock up Tony Gonzalez down in Atlanta?
Yeah. He was good.
He was a good play, but then they bring Revis in and everybody forgets about him, which is fair.
Yeah.
He maybe goes in that J.C. Jackson, Malcolm Butler. That's like the next group.
Well, didn't McCourty play majority of the time at corner?
No, that was only 2 years.
Oh, he's only there. Okay.
He moved to
say
2 plus. He moved to safety his third year.
Okay.
So he was now Jason played corner. Jason McCourty played corner. But he wasn't here very long.
Yeah, it was an interesting debate. A lot of people a little heated. Basically, no one cared about the production or anything with Samuel. It was all about the drop in 07. That was it.
It's the drop in 07, and he kind of remember he had that weird thing against Belichick.
That's what it is. That was a part of it. He still does. He's still tweeting about Bill Belichick. And it basically comes down to, I guess he didn't get paid or whatever. And a caller brought up the point after Samuel left, Bill was chasing a corner every year trying to replace him until he hit with Gilmore. Gilmore and
right.
Revis.
Well, no, see here again, I would throw in Talib.
Yeah.
I would say Talib was a hit. A couple people on YouTube and on Twitter responding to what we were talking about. People are not happy with me for saying Hunter Henry is a Patriots Hall of Famer. I don't think he is yet.
Yeah.
If he plays 1 or 2 more full seasons, there's a case. He's going to play at least one more. He's still under contract. And then we'll see.
But people probably holding against him the fact that he didn't win a lot. Yes. But the Patriots didn't do a lot of winning for 30 years.
Most of the guys in that hall
didn't win anything. They had 1 or 2 good years.
Somebody said, if Randy Moss belongs in, does Corey Dillon belong in?
Ooh.
I don't know.
I'm a huge Corey Dillon fan. I'm a huge Corey Dillon fan. I'm too biased. I can't answer this one.
I'm with Cerrone. I'm also too biased when it comes to Corey Dillon.
I love Corey Dillon. I do. He was so fun to watch, but he didn't. I mean, Moss rewrote the record books. Corey Dillon was very good. But Moss...
He did have like a 1,500-yard season.
He did.
Something crazy like that.
But the Patriots... I no offense to Stanley Morgan fans. The Patriots had never had a receiver like Moss.
Yeah.
With Corey Dillon, it's Sam Cunningham, Curtis Martin a few years before. So it's not... Is Curtis Martin in the Patriots Hall of Fame?
That's a good question.
Should he be before we find out? Should he be?
Yes.
I don't see him.
I don't think he's in the Patriots Hall of Fame.
That's interesting. How many years did he play for the Patriots, though? He gave him 4 or 5 years, didn't he?
He played for the Patriots 3 years.
Oh, it's only 3. Okay.
I'm okay with him not being in.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I don't really remember I was alive, but I don't really remember the Curtis Martin era. But I'll just say I'm okay with that.
Real quick, with Corey Dillon,
I
put him in because I feel those Patriots teams are the greatest Patriots teams of all time.
I mean, the 04 team, it's the 04, the 14 team are the two best.
Yeah, I think, and he was just the clock killing Corey Dillon. He was unstoppable when they knew he was getting the ball, and he ate up the best defenses of that era. Not only with the Patriots, we did it with the Bengals as well. But Corey Dillon, he was just so good. And he was unstoppable.
Would you
man.
Speaking of, all right, key player on the best team, would you put Revis in?
Revis in for
Patriots Hall of Fame?
I don't know, man. That one, yeah.
Steven Gostkowski deserves to be in the Patriots Hall of Fame more than Darrelle Revis.
Yeah, Steven Gostkowski's franchise all-time leading scorer. That's another conversation.
I just can't get over it. I feel like Revis came and got his ring and just dipped.
So here's the thing.
He took the ride and just got his ring.
You're exactly right. And that's why he shouldn't be in. But there is one really good argument for putting him in. That would just kill Jets fans. That's their guy. That's the only guy they've ever had over. Or not ever. That's the only guy they've had over us in 25 years. He gets his ring here, and then we give him a red jacket.
I'm sold. You just convinced me.
For that alone.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, you go ahead.
I don't know. When it starts getting really thin, when we get down to should. I'm trying to think of an example.
Danny Amendola.
Well, so somebody in the YouTube chat asked about Danny Amendola. Right. When we get down to should Danny Amendola be in, just to see what the Jets fans do, maybe put Revis in. I'm kidding.
That's a good one.
Danny Amendola, yes, I'm out on Amendola. He's a fine player, but he's not a.
Yeah, I'm out on him as well. Yeah, I mean it's that's a good one.
Would you put Gostkowski? I know some people like anti-Gostkowski. He's the franchise's all-time leading scorer, but there's people who say, well, longevity doesn't matter at that position, and he missed a lot of big kicks. He didn't really make any big kicks. He missed a lot of big kicks.
But that's the thing. We're holding him to a Vinatieri who's not in.
I think that's fair.
Well,
Vinatieri's going to be in. Part of
the
reason Vinatieri's not in is it's 4 years after you retire from the NFL, so he didn't become eligible until a few years ago.
Yeah,
because he was with the Colts for so long.
Yeah.
So
he's got to be in. You got to put Vinatieri in.
Vinatieri does need to be in.
Well, obviously, I'm a yes on Vinatieri. I'm a yes on Steven Gostkowski. I don't know why we thumb our nose at longevity. I think longevity in the NFL is important.
That's key.
I don't care.
I'm a big longevity guy. I think that's one position where maybe Lester. If he's the franchise all-time leading scorer, ultimately I'd put him in. I'm not in a rush to put him in. Like longevity, Pro Football Hall of Fame because they're going down this road. Frank Gore, yes or no?
Frank Gore Hall of Fame? I never was a Frank Gore fan, but he's got the numbers.
I think playing that many years at that position.
Yeah. I never was a fan, but I think Fred Taylor and Corey Dillon were better. I think they were better football players.
So if we want to do Patriots related, Fred Taylor, Corey Dillon, and sorry about this Patriots fan, Steven Jackson, all have very similar numbers.
Yeah.
They're all top 20. I think they're like 17, 18, 19 in all-time rushing yards. There's a case to be made for all three of them, but what some people say is, well, but like if you're just putting, because there's a case for all three, okay, that's kind of a commoner player, a more common player. If they played receiver, they'd probably be in. Some of it is position, but with Dillon and Taylor and Steven Jack, you have to put all of them in or none of them in.
Yeah.
Because they all had very similar careers.
I think Corey Dillon, seeing that he was playing with nothing in Cincinnati around him at all, for him to get those numbers in for a couple, didn't he have a couple like 250 plus yard games, something like that?
Yeah.
Corey Dillon was ridiculous. Fred Taylor, for most of his career, he had good teams in Jacksonville. They had good receivers. They had good defense. They had good pieces around him. But Corey Dillon, I think, when everybody knew he was getting the ball in that division, for him to do what he did was unbelievable.
So Taylor, Jackson, and Dillon rank 18th, 19th, and 21st all-time in rushing yards. John Riggins is in the middle, but they're all within 400 yards of each other.
That's pretty incredible. And Riggins is in, though, isn't he?
Riggins is in, yes. Well, as the
winning.
Different era in the teams he played on and all that. All right, we got to take a break. We'll come back and wrap it up next here on Sports Hub Sunday
Stay
Kickoff.
tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the Sports Hub.
This is Sean Grande, voice of the Celtics.
notes this morning. We'll schedule talk. And we actually we're not on the air for the schedule release. That's in May.
Mm-hmm.
But Reese notes that the Patriots could be one of the teams that plays in Seattle for the season opener. It's down to the Patriots, Cardinals, Cowboys, Giants, Chargers, and Bears. I don't love that. They did this 10 years ago, oddly enough. The last time the Super Bowl was in San Francisco. They went back-to-back with the Broncos and the Panthers. The game was sloppy. The teams didn't like it. Fans didn't like it. It was just, you can't have teams play back-to-back like that. I'm out on it. Play it earlier in the year. Don't play it week one. Don't play Patriots Seahawks week one. I don't know if you feel differently.
Yeah,
out.
I'm not a fan of that. I think you should start with your division. I think the idea of playing a couple of division games to get the season going and then division games at the end, I think is cool. But that random game all the way in Seattle to open the season, nah, I'm out on that.
It's going to be on a Wednesday night, just ugh.
Yeah, that's bad football.
To me, it's either the Bears, because they were a playoff team in the NFC, and it's Caleb Williams, and they're kind of next up, and I think that would be a good game. And then just obviously, I mean, you put the Cowboys on opening night, people will watch. I know they played on opening night last year. Let's just make that an annual thing. The Cowboys have to play the Super Bowl winner every year to open the season. But
until they win a Super Bowl.
I mean, the Giants probably not. Reese notes maybe the Giants, Jackson Dart, kind of up-and-coming quarterback. Chargers, they're a good team, but that's not a lot of juice.
The Giants one is big because they got the new head coach.
Yeah.
You got Dart. You got all the pieces. I think the Giants, I think, are a story. I think they're a real story this year.
All right, fair enough. The Chargers or Cardinals don't make sense to me, but the Bears, the Giants, the Cowboys. Do an NFC game. Don't do the Patriots.
No.
Well,
give the Patriots Sunday night or something like that.
That's such like a week 3 to 5 game.
Yeah.
Super Bowl rematch. It'll be on Sunday night, obviously. We're going to have more primetime games this year. But we'll have more to talk about next week. We'll continue to dig through the Patriots offseason. If you missed any of the show, you can find it Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff wherever you get your podcasts. Also on the Sports Hub YouTube channel. If you want to check out the Patriots Hub podcast as well, have multiple episodes this week. Matt Dolph and I will have our weekly check-in on Monday. We will also have Mike Giardi and Dane Brugler lined up as guests for the rest of this week, so you can check that out too. Ryan Garvin, great job as always. Cerrone Battle, good stuff. Cerrone cut off. All right. Well, Cerrone's off.
I'm here. I'm sorry about that.
We're usually in a rush to wrap it up. We're kind of on time this week. So, great stuff as always to both of you. We got Michael Hurley and Brendan Glasheen coming up next here on the Sports Hub. No commercials, just the headlines, and those guys are on. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Dutcher and Hardy, Owen Beetle.